Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running the theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey everybody, guess what? Heather has entered the chat and she is a snarky one today. I have questions because apparently everyone in this hearing that we're going to watch has mastered the art of pointing the finger in the different direction of anybody else but themselves. And listen, we're only going to get into part 1 today. It's 9 hours on the first day and 4 hours on the second day. We're not going to get into everything today. Your girl's on a time limit. However, we don't know what's right or wrong. But when I'm saying wordings, exhibits, the language, the reporting discussions, shit is just not right, in my opinion. And we're going to get into it with SpawnTrooper. Because looking at the actual paperwork, I have questions. The docket, they said, was public. It is not public yet. I was looking for the exhibits that they were marking so I could mark them up myself and give my opinions. Could not get a hold of them. I did email media relations for the NTSB and ask why in the hearing from 5 days ago, they said that it was public. They gave the docket number. I wrote down the docket number. And the docket number is not public. But anyway, grab your emotional support pitchforks, a strong drink, maybe some caffeine in the form of a can and carbonated, and get ready for this wild ride. And SpawnTrooper is joining me for this because the only person who can keep me sane when my aviation mechanic side background starts to rise up and wonder why the civilian side of the world sucks so bad, this is why. He can keep me calm. Because looking at this shit and you're going to go, wait a damn minute. And I had way too many wait a damn minute moments that I was not about to do this by myself.
And when one thing before you do start, one thing I have noticed lately over the period of probably 6 to 8 months, the amount of air incidents that are occurring in the United States is becoming more and more and more fucking serious, to a point where I'm like going, either something needs to be, and I'm sorry to say this, it's going to probably give people fucking PTSD, but you're very slowly but surely going towards another 9/11. I'm sorry to say it, but because there's no control over the mechanical side of it, there's no control over the ATC or pilots. It's just an absolute fubar, and something needs to be done because the amount of accidents that you and I have covered and spoken about in private and public, it is getting a little bit, too much. Too many people are losing their lives.
Yeah, and so there are lawsuits around these. Unfortunately, the lawsuits were filed in Louisville, Kentucky, and
Yeah.
I don't have access to the documents. I can see what is like the lawsuits that are filed.
Yeah.
However, I don't the dockets aren't public. That being said, I have reached out to someone who might know more about how to or who to talk to get those documents. Because I want to see the lawsuits, because there is people who are suing the estate of one of the deceased pilots.
Oh, really?
I absolutely shit you not.
But here's the question, though. Has it been I mean, like, this is probably me jumping ahead yet again.
You always jump ahead. What's new?
Thank you. Love you too.
Facts are facts.
Truth. All right. Here's the thing. Have they established pilot error yet? Have they established 100% factual?
No, nothing will be established until the final report comes out.
Well, why is this lawsuit not being squashed then?
Because people can file a lawsuit whenever the hell they damn well please.
Oh, yeah, good point. Well presented. Carry on, as you were.
All right, so we're getting into the hearing, but we are skipping past the pleasantries of where the bathrooms are and that they work this time. However, with that being said, the people on the panel are from not the presenters, the witnesses are from Teamsters, FAA, UPS, and Aerospace or San Antonio Aerospace, which I believe is, if I'm remembering the preliminary report correctly, is the company that did the last inspection and the last maintenance on this aircraft before it crashed.
Hang on a minute. Fucking brain fart. How the hell can this be pilot error when it's mechanical error? Fucking duh. Why? What fucking NTSB report are we dealing with today?
The Louisville crash, the MD-11.
The MD-11, where the engine, where the starboard engine, where the port engine ripped off.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Please hold.
And remember, so they're going to show an animation. So remember, just TLDR on what happened. This was the incident with the UPS freight aircraft MD-11, which is also similar to the DC-10, which will become relevant for multitude of reasons, including my own. I was listening to this last night, and I'm pretty sure I was making the doctor at the office that I was working at think I was nuts because I was talking to myself. Because I would take voice notes and like take voice notes because I couldn't write everything down because I was working, and then go back to work and listen to more and be like, what that? So I think she thought I was absolutely out of my mind yesterday. However, this is the MD-11 that lost its engine number 1, its left engine, and the left engine went through the second engine. And MD-11s can fly on 2 engines. However, the setup of the aircraft, engine number 2 is in the tail. When they lost engine number 1, parts FOD from engine number 1 went through engine number 2, effectively making engine number 2 shut down as well. And you can't fly on one engine. Can't fly that large of an aircraft on one engine. It just doesn't work. So they weren't able to maintain any altitude at all, and ended up unaliving some people on the ground as well as all 3 people on board. So I do have the little right here. If I have to go into mama bear mode, forgive me. She's in a zone lately. She's in a, you know, what she wants, and she wants it now. But we are skipping past the pleasantries at the people seated at the tables on the floor. Our Teamsters, Pilots Association, UPS, FAA. Everybody's asking everybody questions. It's fun. But there are some moments that you will literally go, wait, what? So we're going to get into this. Hopefully you can hear it. If you cannot, let me know and I will see what I can do.
This animation illustrates the construction of the MD-11F aircraft engine attachments and presents investigative findings regarding the separation of the left engine. The MD-11F has 3 engines, 2 wing-mounted and 1 tail-mounted. The left and right engines attach to the wings through a structure called a pylon, highlighted in blue. This illustration shows the frame of the pylon, which connects to the wing at 3 attachment points: the pylon aft mount, the pylon forward mount, and the thrust fitting, which is behind the pylon forward mount. This 3-dimensional model of the pylon aft mount will be used to explain the details of the attachment and how it failed in the accident. The aft mount consists of 2 triangular-shaped plates, which are bolted together. The pylon aft mount is attached to a wing clevis located on the underside of the wing structure. At the top of the plates forming the aft mount are the forward lug and the aft lug, which fit into the wing clevis. The connection is made with a bolt, which passes through a bushing and is secured by a nut. The bushing is secured with a collar. The bushing features a grease fitting connected to internal passageways that channel grease throughout the assembly. The assembly includes a spherical bearing housed.
And all of that's greased because it's designed to move. Like, if there's going to be a little bit of sway in there, it's designed to move. That's normal, but that's why it's greased. However, that is all that is holding on that engine to the aft pylon. Make that one make sense to me. The design of this aircraft, I just can't get over. Like, you will never. I know a lot of people love the DC-10 and the MD-11. I look at it and it looks like an accident waiting to happen. There's no fail-safes, which turns out I'm more right than I thought.
Within the forward and aft lugs at the upper end of the aft mount. The spherical bearing is comprised of a monoball that sits within a one-piece outer race, which conforms to the spherical shape of the ball and distributes loads uniformly across the aft mount lugs. The monoball can rotate and move slightly within the outer race. This movement is designed to reduce stress in the assembly as the engine weight, aerodynamic forces, and engine thrust loads flex the structure during normal operations. The monoball contains shallow grooves on its inner and outer surfaces with 3 equally spaced holes to distribute grease. The outer race also contains a shallow groove on its inner surface to help with grease distribution. This lubrication groove is approximately 1/4 inch wide, centered along the width of the race, and extends around the circumference of the inner surface. The outer race from the accident showed fatigue cracking initiating from several locations around the inner surface at both the forward and aft corners of this lubrication groove.
And the only reason I'm showing this, I know it's technical, but this picture right here is key. Because this part is what failed. But there's things that you will hear and that will make you agitated, if you were anything like me, about this part and the maintenance on this part, or the lack of maintenance on this part through the life of an aircraft. 40-year-old aircraft could be the same monoball that was there when the aircraft was built and certified. Think about that one. Could be. Not saying it is, but it could be. And there are 2 attachment points. There's a forward and an aft. But if the aft fails, the weight of an engine, it will swing down. Momentum will take it, especially if it's traveling at, let's say, 150 miles an hour for takeoff. And that's in my opinion, that's what happened. The aft mount broke. It swung down. The weight of the engine combined with the forces. You gotta go get it. Could not keep the engine attached. The diameter, I don't remember exactly what they said the diameter was. I did not write that down in my notes, but I do have copious notes.
The fatigue cracks grew outward over time through the outer race thickness. Eventually, the fatigue cracks at the forward corner of the groove grew large enough for the outer race to split into two pieces. With the outer race separated into two pieces, loads were no longer evenly distributed across the lugs. The two pieces of the separated outer race could be forced out of the bore of the lugs, resulting in abnormal loading on the lugs. Fatigue cracks initiated within the bore of both lugs at both the inboard and the outboard sides. These fatigue cracks grew outward through the lugs. During the accident flight, the lugs could no longer carry the load and completely fractured at the inboard side, then bent and separated at the outboard side. With the pylon aft mount lugs fractured, the aft end of the pylon was no longer attached to the wing clevis. The remaining two pylon connections subsequently failed, resulting in separation of the left pylon and engine from the air.
So if you look at this, like that one fails, like this one fails back here. The weight of this engine, that wing and that pylon can literally not hold it. It's too heavy. Like it's just the physics just ain't gonna work.
Yeah, and also you have to take into also you need to take into consideration the velocity, the pressure from the engine. It's basically its own entity now, and this is one of the reasons why. I mean, I had a friend actually look at this because obviously you and I spoke about this the other day, and I had a friend look at it. He said, "Yeah, but if you watch that engine leave the wing, it actually starts to climb because of the velocity and the power." Because it's still at takeoff power.
Yeah, that's why I said the physics don't physics.
Yeah,
the math don't math.
Exactly.
It was just easier than trying to, speed, velocity.
Yeah. And he didn't even know about this incident, and he turned around and he said, "Yeah, that is a major malfunction of mechanical parts between the wing and the engine."
Screenshots of the pictures they were showing that would be in exhibits that will be made public, hopefully eventually.
Yeah.
And sent them to Mr. Squid when I was at work last night. And he sent me back a couple of things that was like, yeah, that ain't right. Someone didn't do their job. And it was like, well, this was not on the pictures I sent him were not on the aircraft that crashed. They were on one of three other aircrafts that they found issues with when they grounded the entire.
Here's the issue I've got with what you said when we first kicked off, is the fact that, how can you blame the pilot if they rely on ground crew and company and everyone else is responsible for maintenance? It's not the pilot's fault. To be honest with you, those poor sods had no chance whatsoever.
They do a walk around, but you're not going to see this connection, and you're not going to see that migration on a walk around.
Exactly. And you're never going to, unless you're fucking Superman, unless you're Superman and you got X-ray vision. There's my little angel who looks
She's not
tired.
being an angel right now. Every time I try to talk or listen to you, she's humming over me, and it's yeah. She knows she's doing it.
Be a good girl, little one. You be a good girl for mommy, okay?
All right, so we're gonna play this again.
Yeah. All right.
Plane during takeoff. A surveillance video at the airport captured the takeoff rotation and
Trigger warning.
Separation of the left pylon and engine from the accident airplane.
The animation has finished playing. UPS's MD-11 maintenance program required a 72-month general visual inspection and detailed visual inspection of the pylon while it remained installed on the wing. These inspections were last accomplished on the accident airplane on October 28, 2021 by ST Engineering, San Antonio Aerospace. A 24-month, 4,800-hour lubrication task required lubrication of the pylon spherical bearings and thrust links while the pylon remained installed on the wing. This lubrication task was last accomplished on the accident airplane on October 18, 2025, also by STE San Antonio Aerospace. At a high level, a continued operational safety or COS program receives in-service data of failures, malfunctions, and defects. These data include service difficulty reports, or SDRs, and reports to Boeing from operators. A cost program will analyze the data to determine if an unsafe condition exists. After a cost determination, corrective actions and a timeline to implement these actions are selected. These corrective actions include service letters and airworthiness directives. This slide depicts a timeline of the history of reported bearing outer race fractures found on MD-11 airplanes, along with other milestones related to these findings. Investigators found 9
So we're going to skip over what he says about this because we can talk about it ourselves. But remember the DC-10 crash out of O'Hare. American Airlines Flight 191, I think, was 1979. DC-10 and MD-11 are very similar airframes. They could be considered like sister airframes, kind of the same thing. That was 79.
I muted myself. I was going to say something then. Sorry, I've been like sitting here talking and I richly didn't realize I muted myself. So,
and that's when he'll get mad at me and say that I'm talking over him. And it's like, well, you were muted, so I didn't know you were talking.
I was about to say, why are you freaking ignoring me? And then I looked down and I went, that's probably why. Here's the thing. I've been in both aircraft. I've been in a DC-10, and I think I've been in the newer version of the DC-11. I can't remember because when I got deployed the first time we went on a DC-10, that's where the seats were facing forward. And at one point, obviously, then we go in a Herc and then fly over. And then it was another DC-10 where we're facing backwards. However, on the second one, I did actually do a bit of research. And those two outboard, the port and starboard engine, not the one in the tail is, don't quote me on this. You need to find out over there. But they say that the engine in the tail is for a cruise engine. So basically, when they reach their ceiling, when they're at their flight ceiling, like 36,000 or whatever, right? That engine is used more than the other two engines are. If that makes any sense, I don't quote me.
Yeah, I would have to ask one of my pilot friends, but yeah, or not even my pilot friends. I can ask Mr. Squid when he gets home.
Yeah, because the thing is, if they would use all three engines at the same power, they would have to richly get a trailer on the end of that aircraft with fuel in it, because all three engines will be using the same amount of fuel.
And I know this is a little hard to see depending on what screen you're using, but MD-11 wing pylon F-mount spherical bearing, history of outer race fractures. That was what was fractured and caused the whole thing to.
I still can't get my head around the fact that they want to sue the freaking pilot.
I believe it's people on the ground that were injured.
Well, then it's not the pilot's fault. It's the freaking company and the mechanic's fault.
I know this. You know this. However,
freaking reprobate.
There may be some things in Kentucky statute that gives them a statute of limitations on how long they can sue. So they just sue everybody. I'm not sure about that. I will have to, if I can get my hands on the documents and actually look at them and go over them, and also look at what they're suing for compared to the Kentucky statutes. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just very interested in it. I did reach out to a Kentucky lawyer. Whether he has the time or the want to get back to me is completely.
I mean, we could talk to Jeff. How's Jeff, by the way, very quickly?
Improving slowly, but improving. So
good.
But I did reach out to a lawyer who just so happens to be based in Louisville. I'm not sure if he wants to get back to me or if he will get back to me, but I tried to see Snipe on her dad ass informative when muted. Oh my goodness. So his son's in the chat. He's
It's like it's just freaking charming that I mentioned freaking Satan, and he appears.
he was probably lurking because I did
probably,
message him. I did message him earlier today, and he was in my last stream too. So my two streams today have absolutely nothing to do with drama. I mean, it's dramatic, but it's not the drama that we've been accustomed to for the last few months. So it's yeah. But going back all the way to November 1990, MD-11 enters service in 90. So the Angel, I love you, but you can't talk over me. She just likes to hear herself talk and see herself on the screen.
Hi, sweetie. Be a good girl for mommy.
Yeah, what's that? What's that? She's a good girl for daddy and everybody else but me. But she spends all day with me. So she's like, I'm over you, chick.
Yeah, she when Uncle Spawn's here, she'll be a good girl, won't you, my little angel of delight?
So if you look at all of these, July 2002 is when the first fractured race happened. But look at all these MDRs. These are FedEx. UPS only has one that they submitted, SDRs. But operator 1, operator 2, and operator 3, they don't say who those are, but all these other ones are FedEx. So as much as I don't, please stop. As much as I don't like FedEx, FedEx maintenance program seems to be a little bit more open with reporting service difficulties. So
interesting.
I got in a bit late this afternoon, but we're all lurking, have an unexpected visitor today.
What, the bailiffs?
The unexpected visitor. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool visitor. I'm not gonna lie. Like, not even gonna lie. As a Milwaukee Brewers fan, I think I'm aware, but I'm not sure. He says hi to all except that Welsh guy.
Oh, in the fucking heart. Oh, in the heart. In the heart. Right. You know what you can do, don't you? You can. I hope that there will be a day where you have an itch in a place where your arms are too short to reach.
That's what a back scratcher is for.
Oh, you had to go and help him there, don't you? You had to go and help him, didn't you? You had to go and just...
Always.
Right. You just wait until I get my hot dogs. I'm going to chew on Mike. Yeah.
All right. You probably... I'm going to leave these alone because... Yeah.
I mean, there's not like, oh yeah, hi Spawn, hi Squid. Dad feels really better. He's feeling better. Da, da, da. No, it's like, punch me where it hurts. Why don't you? Sorry, go on. And now you're playing it right. Okay, I know what I'm going to be doing when I go live next.
And if y'all haven't checked out Spawn's channel, in the description of the video, I did put his Rumble channel. So y'all can go check that out because maybe he'll be able to monetize over there because YouTube is YouTube. I don't know. I'm doing everything I can to stay afloat with this channel and get the other one monetized. So if you don't know about my other channel, my background is in occupational therapy. Go subscribe to my corrective exercise and OT channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Hey Harry, how are you? All right. So basically, this is the history of that exact problem on this aircraft. Yeah, and this is why. This is why. Go on. I'll get
Actual
it.
fact, I can't remember what. I don't know if it was like it's just dawned on me.
What's the difference between a fact and an actual fact?
Yeah, the first time it dawned, the first time I don't know if it was the first time or on the third tour. Our plane, a DC-10, had to land in Budapest for mechanical reasons. And then a few hours later, after we all sat there smoking like freaking chimneys, because we couldn't obviously, like richly walking around doing smoke signals, and freezing our binoculars off because it was winter. Yeah, so that's interesting. Around 2002, and the first when we flew over was early 2003. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Christ.
She seems to think I'm skinnier than I am, and she's trying to sit on the chair next to me, and there's no chair. So every time she tries to squeeze there, she falls because there's no chair there. Like, we haven't figured out that you can't sit where there's no chair. I can't hold you up. She's 30 pounds. I can't hold her up like that. I am not that strong.
You should get her one of those stools. You know, the little stool.
She has chairs there. There's a chair there. There's a trampoline over there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
She wants
chairs
right here.
Yeah.
She won't even sit on this leg. She wants right here. She wants to sit right there, and she'll try to sit there, and she'll end up on the floor, just like that. We haven't figured out that she can't sit there because there's no chair. It's the toddler learning process. Get a bigger chair. Well, you know what? This chair was gifted to me off the Amazon list by a certain someone who is lurking, and I'm grateful for this chair, this desk, everything I have. She's gonna do it again. So if you see her start crying or getting fussy, it's because she's literally trying to sit in a spot where there's no place to sit.
Do you know there's actually I've heard rumors that there's actually these computer chairs, the one that you got there. Apparently, don't quote me on this. Apparently, there's a 2-seater. Just saying. I'm just pointing out there.
Don't even go there. So they get into. We're gonna restart this because I need to go to work tonight too.
Yeah, let's go.
Lubrication groove within the bearing outer race. Investigators found that UPS had reviewed these service letters and determined no further action was required. Panel 1 of this investigative hearing will focus on fleet safety processes. This panel will delve into 3 primary topic areas. First, reporting processes for anomalies found during inspection and maintenance. Second, FAA and Boeing continued operational safety processes, including FAA and Boeing cost working agreements. And third, communications to operators after cost actions are completed. Investigators reviewed a McDonnell Douglas DC-10 accident that occurred on May 25th, 1979. The airplane crashed after takeoff at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. The NTSB investigation determined that the left engine and pylon separated during takeoff due to improper maintenance. The airplane climbed to about 300 feet above ground level. The airplane experienced an asymmetric stall and left roll due to uncommanded retraction of the left wing leading edge slats caused by severed hydraulic lines when the pylon and separated from the left wing. The MD-11 is based on the design of the DC-10 and incorporates design changes based on some of the lessons learned from the 1979 accident in Chicago O'Hare. For UPS Flight 2976, after the pylon separation occurred, investigators found that the leading edge slats remained extended as designed. However, a fire ignited on the left wing and continued until ground impact, which was different than the 1979 DC-10 accident. The airplane attitude remained level through the remainder of the accident flight, but the airplane only climbed to about 30 feet above ground level. The NTSB airplane performance study remains ongoing. Panel 2 of this investigative hearing will focus on pylon design requirements. This panel will delve into 2 primary topic areas. First, FAA design certification requirements for through and near pylon attachment points. 4 days after the UPS 2976 accident, the FAA grounded the MD-11 fleet, followed by the DC-10 and MD-10 fleets 6 days after, affecting over 70 airplanes. In the weeks after the accident, inspections were conducted on MD-11, DC-10, and MD-10 airplanes, focused on finding aft-mount spherical bearings that exhibited migrated outer races. 3 migrated bearing races were found on MD-11 airplanes, all from the UPS fleet. 1 migrated bearing race was found on a DC-10 airplane. Examination of the lugs of one of UPS's findings revealed a gap between the forward and aft lugs at their top ends. Additionally, surface inspection of these lugs confirmed the presence of cracks at the inboard and outboard sides of the aft lug. NTSB was notified for the initial response. NTSB invited qualified parties to participate in the investigation as shown on this slide.
Just like when we talk about or go through court hearings and we skip sidebars and skip things that are completely non-relevant and unimportant, the investigators, congratulations, guys, great job, good job doing your job, but I don't care.
Here's one thing that, like he was saying about the differences between the 1979 and 76, 79, whatever.
79,
Aircraft.
we were right the first time.
All right, 79, and the both aircraft banked to the left. In 79, obviously they must have. I don't know. We don't know. We were not there, so we can't really say what happened in the cockpit. However, in this one, I think that the pilots were fighting against the bank angle, and they were trying to keep the aircraft aloft. Probably didn't realize that the wing was on fire. So even if they had got it airborne, I doubt very much that wing would have kept up.
If I'm remembering correctly, it was about 15 seconds. So
yeah, they tried.
But
it
was the same engine number as 1979. It was the left engine.
Yeah.
So
basically, in hindsight, we're lucky that we're not talking about more of these accidents.
Yeah, we have a small chat today, but they're getting spicy. Harry and Heidel are getting spicy.
Oh, are they?
All right, and it's our favorite chairwoman Hamidi, my spirit animal. We will get to
that. We're going to turn to panel one, fleet safety processes. We introduced the members of the technical panel earlier. So Mr. Shin, please introduce the topics and the witnesses.
Thank you. This panel will address fleet safety processes in 3 sections. And this morning, we're starting with operator reporting processes for anomalies found during maintenance and inspections. Specifically, we will question the witnesses in the following issue areas: maintenance manual inspection instructions, reporting processes to UPS quality assurance, UPS reporting to Boeing and the Federal Aviation Administration, and Federal Aviation Administration reporting requirements for Part 121 operators. The witness panel is composed of the following individuals. Starting in the first row, nearest to the board members, we have Mr. Danny Wu, Manager of the Commercial Aircraft Group, Flight Standard Service, Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Brian Knopp, Manager of the Continued Operational Safety Branch, Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. David Springer, Senior Director of Engineering at UPS. Mr. Shannon Deckard, Director of Quality Assurance at UPS. And Mr. Henry Gallegos, Director of Engineering, STE San Antonio Aerospace. In the second row, starting from the closest to the board members, we have Dr. Melanie Violet, Technical Advisor for Continued Operational Safety, Federal Aviation Administration. Mr. Scott Hirsch, Senior Director of Boeing Commercial Airplanes Fleet Operations, Boeing. Mr. Justin Konopask, Director of Airframe Service Engineering, Boeing. And Mr. Clint Dickens, Maintenance Controller, Teamsters. Chairwoman Hamidi, these witnesses have been pre-qualified and their respective experience and qualifications appear in the docket.
Thank you, Mr. Shin. I'll now ask the witnesses to please stand.
Yep, we're
Squished up there in the front row, but if you can raise your right hand, the truth. Thank you. You may be seated.
One thing I do quite enjoy about this is watching multiple different executives or high-level positions, also multiple federal agencies go back and forth and get a little snarky with each other sometimes. Because when we think government agencies, we think they all get along and they're all like us against the government. No, they don't like each other either. And the FAA and the NTSB, as we've discovered in recent weeks, are not exactly friends.
Have you ever heard the term pass the parcel?
Yeah, it the little was actually watching Bluey and watching the game pass the parcel. Pass the parcel.
Right. I mean, you know as well as I do, both of us, we've served in the armed forces, and someone will always blame someone else, where that other person will then blame someone else, and then that person will blame someone else. But no one will take on responsibility, even though it is their responsibility. But no one will take the responsibility until someone like me or you will go, shut your mouth, do your job. And this is one thing I've noticed. This is now the third time that we've seen the board like this. And to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, we witnessed how two different organizations threw crap at each other. So
Yeah.
it's I call it the pass the parcel because they get all that good money and everything else, but they will always pass the buck, as you Americanese say.
And it's just interesting to listen to the language. And when you listen to the language, they're non-committal.
Yeah.
Nobody will commit to shit.
Yep.
I wonder how their wives feel. But I'm going to stop there.
Well, yeah. I was going to say something else, but
What?
I was going to say, well, it's not just their wives they need to worry about, but it's all their boyfriends and girlfriends they've got stashed away in different motels and stuff. I'm sorry. Moving on.
Well, Heidel, you and I know that. She says, laughable. If them get along, it's past the buck. Yeah, but we think the government, like the average person, thinks the government is all like, they're all one big happy. No, they don't like each other either.
Just a reminder for the witnesses, I know that you already spoke to your party spokespersons and your teams. You'll remain under oath until the conclusion of the hearing, and we ask that you answer the questions factually. Please avoid analysis, and please also avoid anything that is speculative. Don't speculate. In fact, I don't know if you don't know is a perfectly okay answer. You can also say you could get back to us in writing if there's something you're not sure about. But I want to, just remind you of those. Finally, push the microphone button to talk and push it again when finished. And if you need a break, just flag me down. All right, I'll turn it over to Mr. Clint Crookshanks.
Thank you, Chairwoman Hamidi. My first few questions are going to be for the FAA. First off, what is the FAA's definition of a structural defect or anomaly that occurs in service? And by in service, we mean those that occur once the aircraft has received type certification and is in operation with an air carrier.
Good morning. Can we please call up exhibit? Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning. Yeah, can we please call up exhibit 7V, Victor, slide 2. So Title 14, Code of Federal.
Yes.
Am I on the wrong one?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. That's right.
Oh, there you go. So Title 14, Code of Federal Regulations 121.703 for air carriers.
Sorry, would you mind pulling it a little bit closer?
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just pull it up. Yep, there we go. Thank you.
You'll occasionally see me skip ahead 5 seconds. It's because they're discussing bring the mic closer to you and who cares.
Title 14 Code of Federal Regulations 121.703. That's for air carriers. For reportable structural items, it designates aircraft structure that require major repair and corrects permanent deformation or corrosion of aircraft structure if more than the maximum acceptable to the manufacturer or the FAA.
Thank you. Could you also please tell us what the requirements are for 145 repair stations, please?
Yes, sir. For 145.221 for repair stations is any serious failure, malfunction, or defect of an article.
Thank you. Next, can you please tell us what is a service difficulty report, or SDR?
Let's see here. Can I call up slide or exhibit 7W, slide 3, and maybe slide 2? Apologize if I got that wrong. So an SDR is a report submitted to the FAA used to identify failures, malfunctions, or defects in aeronautical products that affect or could affect the safe operation of aircraft.
Okay, thanks. A couple more definitions. Can you tell us what is the FAA definition of primary structure?
Yes, sir. Can I have call up exhibit 7B, that is in Victor, slide 4? So primary structure is defined in FAA Advisory Circular 25.1529-1A. Primary structure is structure that significantly contributes to the carrying of flight, ground, or pressure loads. It is also known as a structural significant item, SSI.
Okay, and to follow up, please define what is a principal structural element.
Yes, sir. A principal structural element, or PSE, are those elements of primary structure which contribute significantly to carrying flight, ground, and pressurization loads, and whose failure could result in catastrophic failure of the airplane.
Thank you, Mr. Wu. Now that we have those definitions out of the way, we're going to turn to Mr. Johnson, who has some questions for UPS.
Good morning. My questions are, to give you a time frame, are based at the time of the accident. So when responding, please use the time of the accident as your reference point. please briefly describe the type of maintenance that UPS performed in-house on the MD-11 aircraft.
I'll let my colleague, Mr. Deckard, take this question.
Good morning. UPS internally performs line maintenance in our gateway operations, and we subcontract out to a third party major maintenance or heavy maintenance, as known in the industry, to a third party vendor.
Okay, thank you. Please describe you.
There, right there. There's your fucking problem. There is the problem.
That's
They subcontract out.
That's not actually a problem, though. That's common. Every carrier does that. For example, Air Canada, and all the airlines, the commercial airlines that are associated with Air Canada in that, like, whatever group they're in. I just remember Air Canada specifically go to a company called AAR. That they do a lot of the heavy maintenance and the long-term inspections on that. It's normal. Mr. Squid has worked in civilian aviation since he got out of the Navy, and he has worked for multiple companies. Even the company he works with now contracts out some of their, depending on what the maintenance is, especially if it's engine work, you're going to contract out to people who are more specialized with those engines than you are. For example, Rolls-Royce engines. You want to get a contractor in.
Yeah, but now we've got a third party. If we look at the four parties now, we've got an extra party that can be blamed for this.
Understandable, but that is common throughout the entire history of civilian aviation in this country. It is not, it even happens overseas. Airbus contracts out to people. So it's not unusual. However, you just have to choose the right company. And I don't think that San Antonio Engineering or San Antonio Aerospace, ST Engineering, is the way to do it. So, but that's just me. But that's not, there's some things in here that raise eyebrows for me. That's not one of them, because that's normal.
UPS's maintenance program as it reflects the aft or pylon aft bulkheads on the MD-11 aircraft.
I'll give an overview of the maintenance program for the pylon aft bulkhead. There are 4 scheduled tasks associated with the pylon aft bulkhead. So we'll start from the highest level, and we'll get into the most detailed. It starts with a general visual inspection.
So the best way I can describe that is just thinking about it in military terms. We have, whenever AT1 comes in here, AT1 was eye level, I was O level. I worked on the plane. He worked in the factory fixing the parts of the plane that we couldn't, like inside the boxes and stuff like that. It's kind of the same thing. So, except for instead of taking the individual parts, you just send the whole plane because it's easier.
That's of the area or the zone of the pylon. That's accomplished every C-check. Also accomplished every C-check is a lubrication task, which involves lubricating the joint between the lug and the clevis that was illustrated in the opening presentation. Going deeper into the inspection task associated with the aft pylon or the pylon aft bulkhead is a general visual inspection that calls out paying particular attention to the lugs. That's accomplished every 72 months in our maintenance program. Also, we have a detailed visual inspection of the aft bulkhead that's also accomplished every 72 months.
Do you believe prior to the accident, do you believe that the inspections were adequate?
Our maintenance program was based upon the Boeing MD-11 maintenance planning document, or MPD inspections, which included both the general visual inspections and the detailed inspection, which is an intensive examination of the area that were being done every 72 months.
So is that a yes? You believe it was appropriate, adequate?
Yes, the visual inspections of the area, both general visual, detailed, were the inspections we were doing.
Can you just
All
stop
right.
it?
What is UPS's definition?
I've got two issues. Two issues here. One, 72 months. All right. How many years is that? 3. You're muted, by the way.
6 years.
Right. So you're telling me, like in the military terms, you got your first parade, right? Your first parade, then you got your whole parade, and then you got your last parade, your closing down parade. When it comes to vehicles, you got your service. You got 3 months, 6 months, 1 year service, right? Or it goes to ABPRO for complete maintenance overhaul. Now, you're telling me that you look at an object, you don't like sort of like randomly take one aircraft, rip it apart, and get ultraviolet or ultrasound systems to check the integrity of the steel or the metals. So you're telling me in 6 years you do observation, then you can, or like if there's, so you wait for someone to say, hey, there's an issue, then you do something about it. It's just, I'm going to shut up before I say something that I won't regret.
That you will regret or won't regret.
I won't regret.
That's not even the worst part. There are different inspections for things that only that part was 6 years. So not everything is 6 years, just certain things. However, there are certain things in here that you're going to look at and you're going to be like, wait, what? So Mama Squid says it's a very common practice. Most airlines would rather have a professional that built a specific area of the plane, have their experts work on that area of the plane. Yeah, that's kind of, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I just know AAR specifically because it's on someone's resume.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
So, and not all carriers, like say I worked for Delta. I'm working at Delta at a specific airport. I am not going to have all the knowledge. I'm going to be more of a quick troubleshooter. I need to get this plane off the ground. A radio is not working, or a tire needs to be changed, or something like that, versus a deep inspection. I'm not going to have the time for that, nor do I get paid enough for that.
Volusia's got a bloody good question.
They
Or a good
send
point.
out. I wonder if this aircraft failed engine mounting since not visually inspectable, routine replaced every few years, visual inspecting a joint encased with 2 sections of steel. I don't know if it was that. That's what happened to the 1979 before my time. 1979 DC-10. It was, the engine was installed wrong. This
And can I just point something out?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to remember parts, steel, metal had a different consistency then than it does now. Don't forget, now they're using carbon fiber, they're using different materials, so.
And this plane went into service in 1991. So, but with that, remember that that ball that we initially looked at, that is what, to me, when I was listening to this, that the maintenance on that or lack thereof.
Or they upgraded it.
They'll so you will hear, a spoiler alert, you will hear that part never actually needs to be replaced if it's not broken. However, common sense and logic would tell you if it fails, you're going to have a catastrophic accident, but yet it never needs to be replaced unless it fails. The logic in that made me like lose my shit. Huh?
That's an oxymoron.
That's what I have to listen to it again to make sure I heard it right. But like,
that just hurt my brain.
Also, there's a couple of other things in here where no one can answer a damn question. be it it's a somewhat hypothetical question, but the fact that they can't give you a straight answer, whereas I would look at it and go, say what? The average person who has never even been on an aircraft, could not tell you what an aircraft looks like, would go, that's crazy. So we will we will keep going.
Definition of a structural defect.
Our definition of a structural defect would align with the SDR criteria, which is cracks, permanent deformation, corrosion, and could include other discrepancies to structures such as chafing, galling, other types of damage along those lines.
All right, can you please explain the UPS process when a structural defect is found on an airplane?
How far would you like to go through that process?
All of it.
As far as you would like to go.
Through the whole process.
Well, I'll review the.
See, they some of the clarifications on these questions was like, I asked you a question, just give me an answer until you think I'm going to be satisfied. Like, don't. This is where like this is where I remember being in inspections and like people asking questions, and you either say, I don't know, but I will find you the answer, or you just keep talking and giving them answers until they are satisfied with the answer that you gave and tell you to shut up. There's no in between.
The process, starting with the defect being found by the aircraft maintenance technician, and I'll roll through what happens when they look at existing manuals, and then if it's outside the manuals, the interfaces that occur with the vendor engineering, UPS engineering, and the manufacturer. Can we pull up Exhibit 11 Alpha, page 6, which is UPS major maintenance vendor and Boeing fault communication.
And I was going to have these ready for you guys, but the docket's not public. So hopefully I will get an email from media relations at the NTSB telling me why that they said at the beginning of this hearing that it was going to be public, and it's not, because I hate being lied to. It's not a vehicle engine mount where you can actually see degradation. You would think an aircraft would be replaced in general maintenance issue, moving parts wear out. You would think. Just and I know engines have to be replaced every so many hours, but that varies. And I am not a maintenance tech on civilian aircraft.
I'll walk through the process here. This is a simplified flowchart of what happens when we're executing a scheduled task. When an aircraft maintenance technician is in the area and identifies an item that's out of the norm. So that could be cracks, corrosion, anything that's out of the norm. They would record that as a fault. So I'm going to use fault, discrepancy, defect synonymously. Fault is a newer term with our current maintenance information system where we electronically record faults, discrepancies, or defects. The first decision point, once it's recorded and identified, is when an aircraft maintenance technician will then go into the manual system. This could be our structural repair manual, aircraft maintenance manual. They'll look to see if there's any guidance that would allow the damage to continue as is within allowable limits. If the answer is yes, then they can use the manual, the published manual procedure to address the defect. If not, it flows on down through the chart as we see here. And then we get into, can it be repaired? When I say repaired, this would be a restoration, a reinforcing type repair. Does the SRM allow that? If the SRM provides a repair procedure, then the AMT could execute.
Huh?
Do you know what this reminds me of? Looking at that. When I used to take the guys through their BCDT course or test, right, which is battlefield casualty techniques training, and you have to do a test to pass it, to be competent. And in the British Armed Forces, we have a thing called the aid memoir. And the aid memoir is like a little booklet. It's got obviously like a normal book, but on the other one side, on the left, it's got flip-up slides. And it is basically an idiot's guide. Because obviously you have to deal with people with dyslexia, learning disabilities. So you know, and to keep the person under control with emotions and panic and everything else, adrenaline, that exactly the same thing. Is the patient breathing? No, move down. The patient is now T4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, flow like a flow chart. Yeah.
And-
But this
well,
is
Jeffrey, I don't know about the manuals for civilian aircraft, but the manuals for the military dumbed it down to telling us which way to turn a screw. It showed you how to use a screwdriver. It was that specific. So, like, I don't know what civilian aircraft look like. I will have to talk to Mr. Squid about that because he's worked on everything from CRJs to Boeing aircraft for major carriers. However, I can't imagine that they leave much room for error, because there's another thing with civilian aviation that Mr. Squid and I have talked about in the past that I will never be able to wrap my head around either. It's that Mr. Squid has an airframe and power plant license, his AMP license. He has his bachelor's degree in aeronautical engineering and his AMP license. I was told in the military that I would never go anywhere in an aviation career without an AMP license. These mofos are working on aircraft. Mr. Squid is the only AMP license in his little area right now. Not one tech, he's not a tech, but not one maintainer has their AMP license.
And then I mean, I am so done with people fucking using excuses. At the end of the day, right, the fault is in the ground staff. It is either with the training, the ability to know your job, or all three. I mean, like, if you've got an idiot's guide like this here, and you've got parts that go onto the aircraft, and there's certain parts that you never touch, you never check, only after 6 years, then I mean, hello. I mean, it's like in the military, you can't even walk past a vehicle and you have to check to make sure that all the fluid's in, all the tires are at the right PSI, that everything in the vehicle, that the CS gear, the CS is in the vehicle, that, oh, the tire pressure device is missing. Right, we've got to go and sign one out. Here's a USA number, here's an NSI number. Let's order one. But that vehicle's now VOR. It can't go on the road until that thing is in there. This is absolute insanity that they are playing poker with people's lives. I mean, hello. I mean, like, at one point, when are all people going to boycott flying in the United States until things change? Why is this always it's like they're offering you a reach around before telling you that they don't like you? Oh, shit.
That repair per the structural repair manual. If it's outside the manuals, the aircraft maintenance manual or the structural repair manual, then we get into engineering assistance. So I'm going to use our process that we utilize with ST Engineering and all of our third-party airframe maintenance vendors. It's a collaborative process with the legwork being done by the vendor engineering that's on site. So as you can see, the blue area, this is the area that we have a dedicated UPS engineering team, our major maintenance engineering support team, that's working directly with the vendors engineering to develop a repair, submit that proposed repair to Boeing, get Boeing review of it and approval of it, and then it comes back. That process could be iterative, obviously, as you work out a repair. But our aircraft engineering team, our major maintenance team, is in collaboration with the vendor engineering team all the way through their final development of the document. When they provide their final document that's approved and it has all the correct, acceptable, or approved data for the repair, then UPS provides their own approval of that in our system via an engineering order.
Take it back 5 seconds. Listen very carefully. I don't know if this was a slip up.
By their final document that's approved and it has all the correct, acceptable, or approved data for the repair, then you.
Okay, now if you are setting up a document, okay, about maintenance and how to do it, it should be correct in the first place. You wouldn't have to go back and check it to make sure it's correct, unless you've made a mistake. And the thing is,
No,
the
what
same-
he's talking about is they have multiple people check it. So one person writes up with engineering what they're going to do,
Yeah.
and then it's approved by multiple people to make sure it's right.
which is that's like with us, like
No,
when we get appendix.
I think that's what he was saying, that it's checked to make sure it's right. And then if it's not right, it goes back to step
Right.
one.
Okay.
You gotta
Okay.
change it.
I misunderstood that then, because I was like going, wait, hang on a second. Why are you accepting something and then checking it again?
No,
If
it's
you
like
already accepted it.
getting an email and proofreading it and going, nope, that's not right. That's something's not
Yeah.
right here. You know, this person says this person says this. You all got to figure out what actually is, you know.
Yeah.
And Angel, it's okay. You're fine.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, right now, there's already too many fingers in the pot.
That's the problem with so many people checking it to make sure it's right.
Yeah.
Is there's so many
Because
people
the thing,
who can also fuck it up.
mm-hmm. Yep.
UPS will provide their own approval of that in our system via an engineering order. Part of that engineering order provides the approval of the repair being accomplished. It also includes any follow-on actions. Since we're talking about structural defects, a lot of times you will have follow-on inspections, damage tolerant inspections that will occur later in a repair's life. So we will document those so those are properly tracked.
I just have to write down that time or that time stamp because I am going to play that for my better half and my smarter half, I should say, and see what he has to say because
You mean
he
the brain
works with this
thing?
kind of stuff every day. What the company he works for, he'd know if this is weird for UPS to be doing this, or this is standard operating procedure industry wide.
Why is this repeating itself?
It's not.
I mean, no. I mean, I'm talking about.
Oh, history.
It's like too many chiefs, not enough Indians. We know that saying, don't we? Pass the parcel. We know that one as well. You know, too many fingers in the pot. What does that cause? Confusion, mistakes, right? What about the people on the ground in different countries? Because every country has different rules, work cost, work safety, and all that crap. So what about the training process? Are these people also trained every 6 years, or do they have to go away on skill fade training, or what? Because this whole thing, I mean,
I do know that maintenance techs and inspectors and all of that, for most companies have, I wouldn't call it continuing education, but they go through classes consistently, at least in the company that Mr. Squid works for. He'll message me and be like, I have class today.
Yeah,
so
it's called skill fade training.
Constantly go through, I don't know exactly if it's industry standard, if it's because they change models of airplanes so damn much.
Or it could, I mean, like 99%. One thing from the research I had to do for a job a while back, 72% of training courses in companies, especially small, larger companies, 72% of training is usually always based on skill fade training and upper and refresher training, or a new item of equipment or something new has come in that needs to be changed, and people need to be trained up to that. If that makes sense.
And here's the thing: an X-ray, with where it's located, probably wouldn't do much. Professional development. He has multiple classes. Like when he first started working there, he had to go through classes to make sure that he knew what the hell he was doing. They have classes all the time on stuff. I don't know exactly what. Sometimes I just nod and smile because he'll talk to me like I still understand a lot of this stuff. And it takes me about 20 minutes of thinking about certain things to go, oh, that's what he meant. Okay, I get it. But I don't want to act like an idiot and ask questions. But then again, I'll ask him really stupid questions. Like I just sent him a text a little while ago asking if they had a certain program that they mentioned in here. And he was like, "What? You're gonna have to spell it out for me." I was like, "Okay, so I spelled it out for him. It's just
Yeah. Do you know,
just one of the words I was looking for. Sort of, but not really.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
If say for example, a propeller costs say 20 grand. Let's just work with this one. Just go with me on this one.
Okay.
If a propeller costs 20 grand and it's just a normal propeller, and and you don't know the lifespan of it, right? But there's another propeller that will give me it'll give me everything that it tells me, right? And it costs 75. I would rather pay the 75,000 for the propeller where I know how long I've got it for, and whatever. And I know for 75,000, if I go for a check, they're going to check that propeller, right? This here, it's like when you've got too many people involved, you've got the breakdown in communication, you've got like manufacturing defects, you've got what about other countries, like where the language barrier or terminology can be completely different to the manufacturer. Ich parle un petit peu français, ich kann Deutsch reden. So just in two countries, you've got different terminology, different meanings, different understandings. Like, the French, for example, they've been involved in Airbus from day one, and they've had major communication failure.
Well, and of all civilian aircraft, hands-on wise, I'm the most familiar with Airbuses. I worked the most with Airbuses. My weight and balance paperwork, that stuff, I'm familiar with CRJs, but actually like hands-on physical labor, guiding in, touching Embraer 170s and CRJ or Airbus A319s are my like bread and butter. So my mom can tell you everything about everything. Mr. Squid can tell you a lot about CRJs and some private jets. I can tell you a shit ton about an E2C Hawkeye, but not a lot about anything else.
I'm just saying that there is always going to be a void somewhere. So having like right now, just hearing this is telling me is that like they're trying to drag it out as long as possible before they have to deal with it. I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm just saying this off my own back.
Mama Squid was a gate agent.
Squeeze me?
Mom, JKD Buck asked, wasn't Mama Squid a loadmaster? Mama Squid was a gate agent.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to get through.
Yeah, go for it.
This.
Thank you.
112, by the way.
How is that process that you just described different if it's primary structure or a principal structural element?
The repair flow, whether it's primary or PSE, flows basically the same way. Where it will get different is if we're on a primary structure or PSE and it's outside manual limits, that will always route through Boeing for approvals if it's a reinforcing repair. Approximately 80% of our major maintenance repairs flow through the Boeing system. And we get into also classifications that are associated with most of our reinforcing repairs, or technically all of our reinforcing repairs associated with primary structure or PSEs requires FAA approval, and we heavily rely on Boeing for that FAA approval.
How does this process differ if it's secondary structure?
Secondary structure, we have other avenues to provide repairs internally as well as with external approval. So with secondary structure, we only are required to have acceptable data as the authorizing data for the repair. So we get into a differentiation of what's acceptable data and approved data. So for secondary structure, we can approve those with acceptable data. What does acceptable data mean in our system? We can use Boeing messages for secondary structure. We can use a document called an RDR, repair design, an acronym I'm not dialed in on. But we also can generate.
And that's another problem. When he said RDR, he said an acronym I'm not familiar with. You work for the damn company. If you're not familiar with the fucking acronym,
you shouldn't be saying it in the first place.
Well, no, it's not even that. Well, yeah, but the like medical field, we have industry-wide acronyms that are common from place to place, hospital to hospital, doctor to doctor. You know when you see this acronym what it is. You don't use acronyms that when you go to another company, you're like, I have no idea what the hell this is. So you're now getting acronyms. There's no communication that's consistent between the FAA, NTSB, UPS, Boeing, McDonnell Douglas when it was still around, FedEx, even anybody else who might use the MD-11. Everybody has their own set of acronyms. The communication sucks.
Maybe we should go back to prop aircraft, because at least then you knew when you were fucked.
Maybe we should just go back to using English instead of
But here's the problem. What English? The Queen/King's English or the Americanese English?
wherever the manufacturer is from, but still real words instead of acronyms.
True, yeah. I mean, like earlier on when I said BCDT, I actually said it right afterwards, but basically.
And Roy, you know that you are never sidetrack or derail my stream any more than I can, but this is where 3D World is more important than this is where 3D World is way more important. I've said it with Devil Fan, specifically you, Jeff. I know he's probably looking at the computer or the phone screen like, what the hell? But 3D World more important than YouTube World.
Yeah.
3D World more important than YouTube World. If someone comes into my stream and they are in need of some community hugs and we all need to wrap our arms around you and lift you up right now, that's more important than an NTSB hearing. Yes, it is entertaining. Yes, it is fun to make fun of the government and executives who act like, once again, they're smarter than everybody when they're not. However, 3D World trumps my YouTube World any day.
Yep.
Just know that. Just know that. So never, ever come in here and think that you will sidetrack or derail.
No.
Because one, no one derails me any more than I derail myself. Thank you.
I just help out.
Don't you dare come in here and try to take my title. I have derail merch for a reason, bro.
That's true. She does. Yep. She comes in my stream within 2 seconds of my stream. It's like fucking major derailment. Yes.
Like the NTSB needs to come and see the train wreck that is my stream.
Maybe they will actually learn something off what we say, because like how many people, like, everyone's got their own opinion, but like we seem to really twist that knife when it's in.
Harry says, I never get a hug, maybe a slap upside the head. You get a Gibbs, right to the, in NCIS, you get a Gibbs, just a slap to the back of the head.
Yeah.
Moral support is always appreciated and cherished for eternity. Of course. Okay, then. Excuse me if I don't, it's been a rough couple of days. So, But, update, his wife's cancer has returned and spread. Oncologist says she has a treatment, but at best it will only slow it down. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. What she said. So,
if you need,
Roy,
Roy, if you ever need to talk, mate, send me a message and I'll call you. Then we can have a chat. But you're more than welcome anytime, 24/7.
Oh yes, and our friend Shane is boarding a plane to come to the U.S. tomorrow from the land that doesn't exist, Australia.
Wait, what? Wait, doesn't it? Has he got his early release there, or? Or what's going on?
Shane is escaping Australia to come to the U.S. for Dollywood. So,
yeah, but the thing is, the big question is that,
especially given the current discussion, yeah. So, But Roy, we are here for you. We love you. Give your wife a hug for us. Please let her know we are here for her if she needs us.
Acceptable data internally with our engineering authority. So we can develop an engineering substantiation following our procedures that's considered acceptable data to authorize a repair to secondary structure.
Okay, so now that the damage has been identified or the defect has been identified, what UPS documents are generated for structural defects?
For structural defects, we talked about the general process. So obviously we get into, and we'll go back to the 2008 timeframe. In 2008, 2011 timeframe, we were in a paper system still. So if a discrepancy was identified, you would have a non-routine card. Looking at the heavy maintenance, you'd have a non-routine card generated. If the repair occurred per a manual, that was documented on the non-routine card. So it was all contained in the non-routine card. If it was outside of the manual, there would both be a vendor repair document and a UPS engineering order authorizing the third party, the vendor engineering document.
All right, one follow-up from my previous question, and that was, would the lugs and bearing for the aft bulkhead on the pylon be considered PSE? Principal structural element?
The lugs would, they are identified in the structural repair manual as such as part of the overall bulkhead assembly. The bearing itself being hardware, how we would classify that, it's hardware that could be removed and replaced. I do not believe we would have considered that a PSE.
Wait a minute. You're fucking speculating. You should know the answer. It's a yes or no.
And that's where it's like the non-committal language.
Yeah. This
is the only way I can describe it.
Oh, Little Thing's back. Oh, I'll go watch my P's and Q's.
I don't know what it is, but there's always one person in every hearing that, like, I just look at their face and I can tell that I'm not going to like them. David Springer is the one for this panel. Just.
What, the one who looks like Keir Starmer's love child?
This guy. The one who's talking right now.
Yeah. He actually looks like Keir Starmer's love child, actually.
Oh my God, two women giving up. Yes, for those of you who are lurking, who are new to my channel, for any number of reasons, this is Baby Squid. She is my diva child, my only child, but my diva. She runs the channel. I just work here.
Yes.
She runs the house. I just pay the bills.
She allows me out the basement at least twice a day.
Well, everybody needs yard time.
Thank you.
The fact that how many people actually believed? I was talking to my
I
mom
don't know. I think I've got to a point now where every time I hear it, I can't stop laughing.
I joke that
that's over a year old. That joke.
I joke that Spawn is not in Wales. Spawn is in my basement.
Yeah.
The funny thing about that is, I live in East Georgia. I don't have a basement. So there's that. But the amount of people who thought that was true, I cannot explain to you.
Oh, snipe in the heart, bud.
Yeah, it's the Baby Squid show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wait, do you know what? Actual fact, that's not a bad idea. I think we should do that one day.
What?
Do a Baby Squid show.
She's already uploaded shorts to my channel.
Yeah, I know that. That's
if you wanted to go help my channel out, go check out my shorts.
Yeah.
It has uploaded 2 or 3 of her on her own that I didn't realize until people started commenting on them.
Yeah. She's got so much protection from my community, your community. She's got so much protection. Everyone adores her.
We kind of hinted at this. Last time. But I didn't want to spoil the surprise for Jeff. But I'm hoping for a girl, but praying it all goes well regardless. First trimester done, thank God. Congratulations.
Yeah. At the end of the day, as long as the little one is healthy.
Yes, and there is this on my channel. PSA, Thanks, Heidel, for dropping the PSA. Mama duties may activate at any time. If you do not like my hold music when I actually activate it, that's a you problem, not a me problem. And if there's an issue, I've had comments about your hold music is so childish. I made a song on Suno. Like, Jesus, Pete, people, don't take life so seriously. But if you have an issue with my hold music, you are free to report it, and we will send it straight to the focus group, which means F off because you're stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the focus group needs a president, a vice president, a treasurer.
I think the focus group needs a song, and I'm still. Where's JK when you need him? There's
oh,
the
he's here. I feel the disturbance in the force. He's here. Anyway, come on, back onto this.
How does UPS comply with the reporting requirements of 121.703 in the CFR?
I'll review how we comply with 121.703. We have a slide that's Exhibit 11AA, page 13. And Mr. Johnson, do you still want this to be the 2008-2011 timeframe for answering this question?
That's fine.
The process we have outlined here is actually our current process, but there's still similarities to what we were doing. There's been very little change over the last 18 years. So we comply with 14 CFR 121.703. We mirror that criteria. That criteria is basically, we have a copy and paste of that right into our general maintenance manual. So when a fault is identified, the main source for identifying whether or not that's an SDR flows through the aircraft maintenance technician. We have a specific section in our general maintenance manual that is trained to with those criteria. It would get marked, back in the day, it would get marked in a different, maintenance information system. Back then it would be a system we called impacts that would get marked in. That would flow to our engineering standards team that would review that to make sure it met the criteria and basically compile those for accuracy and basically a quality audit before submitting those to the FAA. The change over time as we've moved from one maintenance information system to a newer maintenance information system, which was a 2023 changeover. We now have our engineering standards team is able to review certain subject areas to provide a second level of detection or identification of items that could be SDRs. Once that is all compiled, it is uploaded to the SDR system, the FAA SDR system. We also give a courtesy copy of that to the FAA Certification Management Office that oversees us. The other item that's related to this, that's part of our training for our general maintenance manual, is when we're working with our third-party maintenance provider that's providing our C checks. Our manual requires that all SDR identified items flow through our system so that we are the ones that have visibility and submit them. And that's what we train to and expect of our third-party maintenance provider.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
could you pause for a second? Just for the purpose of the Board of Inquiry and the technical staff, were there any differences to this? And can you just point out where any differences were between 08 and 11?
Between 08 and 11, the process would have been the same, which really would have been the main focus because being in a more paper-based system would really have been across the top line where the AMT and the maintenance team would have been responsible for really identifying those. While the lower section still had that ability, that has improved over time since 2008 to 2011 as we've changed over our maintenance information system.
Okay, follow up.
That was about the time when they were switching over from paper everything to computer
Digital.
everything. And
that's
where
the
things get
problem.
lost in translation.
Yep.
When that happened.
Yep. I was just about to say that. See people, we think alike.
Oh, it's scary.
Oh,
It's
the headache.
scary. The assignment of blame and cover your own ass are the main priorities for lots of folks. Not too hard to understand.
Do you know what? Ever since I've been talking to you Americanese, I'm actually learning these abbreviations really quick. It's scary. I shouldn't be.
CYA is the one I use all the time. FUBAR. You know FUBAR though, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to say it because she's here.
F'd up beyond all recognition.
Yeah, and the rest.
Yeah.
Oh, do
I
you
just
remember
got
fish?
focused
Oh
through.
no, you were Navy. You only infantry or with no. It's a. It used to be Fubawa, then it used to be Obawa, and then we all decided to change it to fish. Fighting in someone else's house.
Oh, we consider, my mom calls a fish effing Illinois shithead. Whereas the rest of us call them fibs, effing Illinois bastards. That's what happens when you're from Wisconsin. I don't know if Indiana has a name for JKD Buck. Does Indiana have a name for Illinois people? Because that's what Wisconsinites call people from like Illinois, mainly the Chicago area.
By the way, I just very before we carry on, Jeff, here's the difference. What is the difference between a hood and a bonnet? The bonnet terminology, right, is an older terminology to a head cover, whereas a hood is also a head cover. And what does it do? It covers the engine because the brain is considered an engine, so therefore. But anyway, carry on. Let's go.
So, speaking of things that get lost in translation, hey French.
Yeah.
Hey Robert. IFOs, idiots from Ohio.
Sorry to hear that, young man. Felicia, son.
Iowa, idiots out wandering about. Oh, this could go on all day.
Hi, Rob.
Ma'am. Girl, you either got to get down or we got to.
You said that you guys notify your principal maintenance inspector of every SDR that you submit to the FAA database. Is that correct?
That is correct. We provide a courtesy copy of the submission. The same table that we've submitted and uploaded into the SDR system is provided to our certificate management office.
Do you ever receive feedback from your certificate management team about SDRs that you file?
Yes, we have routine interaction with the office as they perform surveillance over the documentation that we provide. It's not uncommon at all for them to ask about an aircraft maintenance visit and associated records with that, ensuring that we are following the process of what qualifies to be submitted or not, as well as the documentation that was performed in the repair. So that is fairly routine interaction with our local certificate management office based in Louisville.
Do you ever
It's
notify
not
Boeing
Louisville, it's
of
Louisville.
filed SDR information?
Looking back specifically at SDRs, we do not provide them holistically to Boeing. One of the, I referenced the maintenance planning document. Part of the structural part of the maintenance planning document that and the requirement that we carry over into our manuals is that structural discrepancies found with the maintenance program are submitted via the SDR system. The only time Boeing would be aware of a related item would be if we work, typically if we work a repair with them, that would be the main source of documentation coming into the communication system for Boeing.
Do you ever query the service difficulty report database looking for items related to your fleet?
No, up until recently, we have always used that as a reporting system. We have not used that as a input or a resource to understand what is happening in the overall industry associated with the fleet we operate.
Welcome to the entire. I've watched 7 hours of this so far. All 7 hours. There's points which I'm like, stop using that language. Just answer the question. This and this. I just can't. But yes, you are right. Yeah.
Oh, I like his icon.
Like, it's
All right. Going back to structural defects, who within UPS can document a structural defect?
The way our GMM is written, our general maintenance manual, we have a defect identification and reporting section. So that could be anyone performing a maintenance operation, whether, as previously mentioned, in a line maintenance operation or in a heavy maintenance operation where we utilize the third parties. Both maintenance arenas are trained to the same standard on how to identify a defect and what the reporting requirements are.
Okay. Where is a structural defect documented at UPS?
It is documented in the maintenance information system.
Okay. Who would analyze a defect that was reported? Is there any system within UPS where someone looks at the overall submissions and analyzes for trends or problems?
I'm going to skip through this because it's just routine stuff.
There are a lot of interfaces that would help with that are fleet specific.
So what is done with the analysis when it's been completed?
If we identify trends, there's a couple things that can happen. I talked a little bit about corrosion prevention and control. That's a representation of the process where we've identified a trend. We develop a corrective action, which could involve issuing an engineering order to do a specific action. It could involve an adjustment to our program, and that's representative of any structural defect. Once we see the trend, we can go in, decide if it's something that we want to come up with a procedure, inspection, or a change to be proactive.
Question of continuing analysis surveillance system piece a little bit deeper on the next slide. The UPS compliance with the regulations is our minimum level of safety. When we received FAA approval of our SMS system, we've adapted our program to achieve the highest level of safety. And I'll get into explaining that a little bit further. As a regulatory Part 5 requirement, we established our SMS system in 2017 and have continued to mature it by adding critical data, if you will, feeding the machine. The program consists of the 4 pillars described on the screen.
Can you just stop it for
The
a
2 that
second?
we'll focus in on.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Like with the military, we have our electronic systems and everything else. Now, here's one issue I see with this SMS system. You literally have to be on the ball all the time to not miss something. You'd have to have a chain, like a rank structure within the staff, that everyone is doing their job at the time that they're supposed to be doing it. Because the moment you have one person slow down or do something else or miss a critical message or something like that, this is where this system then goes to shit. And you know that as well as I do. In the military, we have these type of systems. And if one person doesn't add something or they don't put something in, it's like, and then it just goes to shit. And I've seen that with SGRs, MPARs. I've seen that with people that there are systems like there's a system called James in the British Armed Forces, and it's got to do with vehicles. And if you miss one thing, you are VORing a vehicle that doesn't need to be VOR'd. Just the one tick can make the big mistake. So this is where the additional issues could actually stem from as well. There you go.
Yeah, there's just a whole host of
And it seems that they're mansplaining as well. Explain what the system does, explain why it's done, explain who does it, and explain what the results are. That's it. That's all you need to explain.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to skip ahead to when I find the timestamp that I was looking for.
On further are the safety risk management and safety assurance, which is where the CAS or the continuing analysis surveillance system resides, which is also a regulatory requirement for a Part 121 air carrier to establish a CAS as well. Our CAS accomplishes surveillance and analysis of our maintenance and inspection program by verifying performance and design and effectiveness of our continuous airworthiness maintenance program. It's designed and incorporates a system safety approach for sustaining safe operation of the UPS aircraft. On the next slide, this slide shows a variety of inputs that go into our CAS program. We acquire the data, input it into the SMS or the CAS program. CAS again resides within SMS. And as shown in the flow diagram in the upper right-hand corner, it starts with the data collection. And that's a key piece, as I previously mentioned, to feed the machine. The data has to go in for the rest of the blocks to follow through with the process. You can see it moves from data collection to an analysis. Once root cause is understood from the analysis itself, corrective actions are put in place. Then lastly, as far as the flow goes, we have verification of effectiveness. We want to make sure that the corrective actions are working as designed to prevent future recurrence. But notice there's an arrow that continues right back to data collection. The system never sleeps. It's a closed loop design. It's constantly running in the background all the time.
So
The various inputs are described on the screen. And if you really think about this at the high level,
So let me ask this question then. If this is a continuous system, continuous loop, and you do, again, this is where the issue is. Every 6 years you do like maintenance, stuff like that. But I haven't heard, not once yet, that you actually do random spot checks especially on things like the tail, the rudders, the ailerons, the engines, the gear, electrical system, light system. So it's like you wait until something has a catastrophic failure, then you do something about it. You know, if you'd actually do your maintenance, like in the military, we got the 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, the 12 month. And that's where you actually find the faults. And like, if you can't find it in 3 months and 6 months, you'll then notice damage, and then you do something about it. 6 years is too long. Me personally, this is there's a lot of factors here that I've seen so far are telling me that, you know, they're just basically, oh, we'll do it when something happens. And now we've had an incident. Now suddenly they're coming out with all this. They're trying to put that umbrella of protection over themselves, trying to turn people's brains into mush with all this information. But the fact is, you didn't do them. The checks were not done correctly. Because if the checks were done correctly, they would have found the issues with the structure, the mountain, what you call them, and this incident would have never happened. Plus, you're muted.
Not necessarily. So you can do all the right things and not find stuff because you didn't do the right things. You did what was right according to the maintenance manual, but the maintenance manual wasn't right.
Yeah. And so it's a chain reaction. So you got a chain reaction. Excuse me. 1 second. So yeah, I mean, in every aspect, you have that chain reaction. It's when one falls, they all fall. You're muted.
Because I'm muted because she's screaming because she's mad because I set her down because she keeps moving and I can't do anything and she gets mad at me every time. So it's like I would rather have her go on the ground and get mad at me once than get mad at me every time I have to move. Good. So the challenges of streaming the toddler in your lap.
But it makes us happy to see her and that she's happy.
It does, but it's also hard to type. It's hard to navigate anything in StreamYard, in YouTube, in Studio. Look at my notes because I have stuff written down. I have pages of stuff, and I can't see it because she won't let me. So,
well, I have the equivalent of like when Robert and Roy and everyone and Volusia and everyone come into my stream and go on about freaking Fanta. Now you know what I feel like.
Fanta. Well, you don't have Jeff Grady, Jeff Montgomery, or Snipe Hunter sitting in your lap.
I don't mind. I mean, if they feel comfortable, I won't say no.
That's a sign. Yeah. And then you have Mary covering her, running cover for Baby Squid. I didn't see her do nothing wrong. Of course not. Of course not. Like, of course not. Like,
she's an angel. I don't think so. Come on, you want to? I know you want to.
We'll go with that. I'm gonna see if I can.
I just think that we're going through the same excuse party that we did last time with these people.
I can't move it. It won't let me move it. Oh, never mind. Meh. I don't like that. I don't like it.
Wait, what?
I'm trying to move the move this stuff, get a different layout, and I can't because then I can't see my head. What's the point of streaming if I can't see my own head? I suddenly want to sit on the All right, we're gonna skip past their industry participation and surveillance because
I swear to God, I'm gonna jail Robert Ward. I
swear. A change to ask our structures engineers to not only review our SDRs, but also make them aware that there's the ability to search the FAA database.
Are you aware? Have they found anything of interest in that review?
This is a fairly recent change within our processes.
I'll get you back for that.
SDRs, when they're submitted, is there a quality control, quality assurance review process to make sure that quality SDRs are being submitted?
Yes, our engineering standards reporting team is responsible for reviewing everything that's been initially flagged as meeting the SDR criteria. And they also look at specific in the current setting, they look at certain subject areas that are more prone to have potential SDRs to be a second way of identifying them. But part of that quality process is sometimes an item will be marked as an SDR as it comes through from the aircraft maintenance technician. They'll look at it, they'll review it with our engineering standards manager who has a structures background. If we're talking about structural defects, they'll get the right manager involved and make sure that we're consistent in meeting the criteria so that we're trying to submit the best and consistent data into the SDR system.
I will be back.
And when a structural defect is reported, does that ground the airplane?
And a line maintenance setting, when a structural defect is recorded, like any defect, it's now an open fault in our system, or it could be, before we went to our current MIS system, would be an open logbook item, or it could be an open logbook item too. So it has to be addressed per the manuals or other engineering document if it's outside the manuals, and it has to be closed before the airplane would be considered airworthy and return to service.
I'd like to add to that as well. From an overall perspective, just explaining a little bit further of what Dave had expressed with affecting the airworthiness release, any fault that's identified requires to be addressing the discrepancy before the aircraft can operate again. We have a airworthiness release procedure that is in our general maintenance manual, and it can only be performed by trained and qualified individuals on that process. We do this prior to every flight where we have maintenance staffed in that location. And the airworthiness release process certifies that the work was performed in accordance with our manuals, that all inspections that were required to be performed were performed to a satisfactory condition, that no known condition exists that would make the aircraft unairworthy. And so far as any of the work that was performed since the last airworthiness release process was executed, no known condition exists making the aircraft unairworthy. And so far as the work performed, the aircraft is in a condition for safe operation.
Thank you for that. We've seen in other accidents that SMS looks great on paper, and you identified that great slide.
There's a question that I don't know when it's asked, but I will pause when it's asked and when it's not answered, because you will literally just, it will blow your mind.
Slide of all of the different processes under your SMS. How do you think SMS has improved UPS's ability to identify trends?
I think if I go back to the initial time we implemented and had an initially approved SMS program, we like to refer to that time frame as having many silos of excellence. And I think it's broken the barriers down a lot where we have cross-pollination of information. It's really pulled our flight maintenance and ground operation teams together. We do a lot of collaborative reviews to get other perspectives on hazard identification within our operation. So I think we have a much wider lens of our organization now that we have SMS implemented.
Is the safety department included in that process? You mentioned flight and I think maintenance and engineering, but is safety also looped into that?
Yes, our airline safety department is part of that process, and they routinely attend meetings and analysis reviews to make sure at the end of the day we are executing the process correctly and recording the results so that we have those for record retention.
Great. Mr. Dickens. Could you please describe who at UPS is represented by Teamsters?
Okay, the aircraft maintenance technicians are represented by UPS Teamsters. Our utilities personnel are represented by Teamsters. Our tech publication individuals are also represented by Teamsters.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dickens, would you mind pulling that closer?
Okay, is that better?
Oh, wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And approximately how many employees does Teamsters represent at UPS?
Right now, we're approximately about 1,500.
And of the Teamsters personnel that are working on UPS aircraft, are they FAA certificated mechanics?
Yes.
And what about those working in maintenance control? What is their background?
Maintenance control are also individuals who have an airframe and power plant license.
So listen closely about what he says about the airframe and power plant license.
So technically they are certified by the FAA.
We had FAA and also UPS define in service structural defects. How would you, as a mechanic and under maintenance control, how would you define that as well?
I would use the similar information that they've already applied, but so technically cracks, permanent deformation, corrosion of aircraft structures, defects of that nature.
And for the line maintenance technicians, how are they trained to identify structural defects?
Okay, all aircraft maintenance personnel are trained in our GMM, which...
Sorry, Mr. Dickens, would you mind moving the
Not at all.
microphone right in front of you?
How's that?
Wonderful.
Okay, so all the aircraft maintenance technicians are trained in our general maintenance manual, which gives them the definition of what a structural defect is and how they would proceed if a defect is found.
Is there on-the-job training as well?
Basically, if an aircraft technician has to be trained on the job, they would be provided some sort of a manual or an engineering order on specific details on what to look for the defects.
And who provides this training?
UPS provides training on a daily basis, and we have aircraft maintenance bulletins that are sent out regularly for updates on information that maintenance needs.
So information related to structural defects, is that a one-time training? Is that offered in recurrent training? How often do they receive that?
That I can't give an exact answer for.
Okay. What role
Could you provide that for the record? Could the Teamsters provide that for the record in writing?
Yes, ma'am. We will attempt to get that for you.
Thank you.
What role does UPS maintenance control play in the reporting of structural defects?
So when a maintenance technician discovers a defect, that individual would enter that into the aircraft log as a discrepancy. Sometimes the maintenance technician himself will review the technical manuals. We will assist when required to help the mechanics go through those technical manuals. We'll help them determine whether or not it's something that can be repaired on a line maintenance base. If it's out of allowable limits, then that's when we would request engineering assistance, and then they would proceed with providing an EO for corrective action.
And I don't know if this question is better for you, Mr. Dickens, or possibly UPS, but what structural defects seem to be the most common?
The most common in a line maintenance facility that we run would be dents and scratches or gouges on aircraft surfaces.
Is there a particular fleet that has more reports than others?
No, it's pretty much even across the board.
For the MD-11F fleet, are there any known hotspots, so to speak, structural defects that appear commonly on that aircraft?
None that I'm aware of.
UPS, do you have any data on that or information?
No specific data, but notionally we know that any part of the aircraft that's accessed on a routine basis, like lower cargo doors, main cargo doors, tend to have more structural discrepancies as far as dents or scratches or gouges, just because of the interfacing with ground support equipment.
Mr. Dickens, so when a defect is reported, and I think you alluded to this a little bit, but I'm just going to ask more pointedly. So a defect's reported to maintenance control, and what do you do next?
When a maintenance technician makes us aware of a defect, we will use the technical manuals to determine whether or not that's a allowable limit, maintenance manual, structural repair manual. If we cannot find a corrective action in those manuals, then that's when we will proceed with requesting engineering assistance and proceeding from there.
And again, this could be for UPS or Mr. Dickens. Does Maintenance identify repeat defects that are reported?
Yeah, in our maintenance system, we can search history for defects. Typically we would use the ATA code system, or we can also search history using keywords.
So that's something that has to be initiated.
They're answering the questions, but they're still like being vague. I don't know. It's just rubbing me the wrong way. Like, I don't know if anybody else is picking up on that, but like the language that they're all using is like.
And at one point, Brian, the ginger-haired fella, he was about to press the button on his mic. Yeah, him. He was about to press the button on his mic, and then obviously he was not used. But he was really quick to get ready.
There's just something that like rubs me the wrong way about this, and I don't really care about Teamsters. Like I'm not really, no offense, but like the Teamsters can suck it. Like, excuse my language, but they're not to the heart of it.
They all look like if they got their faces slapped by a freaking fish.
Yes, Greg, I thought it was just me. No, Gail, it's not just you. It's like they're answering, but they're answering to the very minimum, and they're using that non-committal language, like, well, it's this, or it's this, or our maintenance technicians. Well, right now you're representing the maintenance technicians. If you have a problem with bringing any single one of those maintenance technicians in here and having them talk, they don't need to be working for you. I got nothing.
Craft maintenance bulletins. AM.
I just find it like, you know, if you want the truth, you need to go and find it yourself, because when it comes to hearings like this, they are going to richly bombard you with technical crap that is unnecessary. You know, get to the point, stick to the point, identify the problem and give us a solution. Simple as.
They're just not. And I can't put my finger on exactly what they're not saying because I don't know. But it's like I'm getting the feeling that there's like so much more that if they asked follow-up questions or asked, you know, can you go deeper?
That is
Like,
one big ass forehead that guy's got. Sorry. In the back next to the woman who looks like she's constipated.
MB.
AMB. Are the San Antonio Aerospace inspections of the
well, JKD Buck, this is what a 3-nager looks like. 3 going on 13. I'm convinced 3 and 4-year-olds are the same as 13 and 14-year-olds. Their capacity on what they can or what they think they can do outweighs what they actually can do.
pylon aft bulkhead consistent with the UPS inspections described earlier?
Yes, we use the UPS task cards for the general visual inspection and the detailed visual inspection as described by UPS earlier.
Do you recall if San Antonio Aerospace has ever found any defects on the pylon aft bulkhead other than the 2008 swage ring failure?
Yes, I recall in 2020, we, as part of a different repair to a different area of the aircraft, actually to the wing of the aircraft we were doing, we had to drop or remove the engine and the pylon to do the repair on the wing, and corrosion was found subsequently on the aft bulkhead. And due to that corrosion, the aft spherical bearing had to be removed and replaced.
How are San Antonio Aerospace personnel trained to identify and report defects? We'll call it structural defects.
Excuse me. So our like I stated earlier, all our personnel that work on the UPS program have to go through the GMM training, first of all, which defines, their maintenance program and structural defects. And then they go through training and our repair station manual, which covers, maintenance requirements and reporting requirements.
All right, let's expand on that a little bit. Is there a inspector qualification course where they're taught about corrosion and cracks and defects that they would be looking for?
Right. So our inspectors are all certified mechanics, and so they go through training to get certified by the FAA. And all our inspectors have a minimum of 5 years experience in aircraft maintenance, and they get training when they come in. Initial training, they get a training assessment on what areas may be lacking that they need training on, and we focus OJT in those areas while they're.
For those of you who don't know, OJT is on-the-job training, but I can also attest that just because you're an inspector does not make you intelligent. I just a thought. I've heard stories.
Working.
Are there any differences between San Antonio Aerospace and UPS inspection and maintenance procedures for the MD-11 pylon?
No, sir. We follow UPS's general maintenance manual procedures.
What personnel at San Antonio Aerospace are able to report defects?
Everybody?
Our quality control inspectors are able to report defects, and all of our AMTs are able to report defects.
Everybody.
What is the process according to the UPS working agreement for reporting structural defects?
Can we pull up Exhibit 11 Alpha Alpha? It's the same slide that UPS was explaining earlier. I'm sorry, that's not the right page. So this is the SDR reporting process. It's not the defect. You mean defects as far as faults and non-routines?
That is correct.
What page is it on your process?
Take your time to look at the exhibit list. It's fine. Don't worry.
Apologies. No, page 6. I'm sorry, page 6. Right. So when a structural defect is found, our quality control department will initiate.
The one thing I've learned watching this is that dude is nervous. Like, I don't know if he's just not a public speaker, if he thinks that his company is more at fault than everybody else, if he's wondering if he's going to get fired over there. I don't know what it is, but he's like tripping over his words. Is every other sentence. Like, I don't understand it.
A non-routine card in the UPS maintenance platform, and that is the current process. So just to be clear, we're talking about the current process, not in 2008.
Correct.
So when they initiate that defect, our AMTs evaluate the defect against the OEM manuals or the UPS data to verify or to see whether it is within allowable limits or not. And then
I don't know if it's just not his. Public speaking is just not his thing. I hate public speaking. I get it. I go all the time when I public speak. I get it. However, so I'm not reading too much into it. It's just something to take note to see if he does it when he's not being asked a difficult question or something that he has to dive into the exhibits. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. That's what I'm thinking, but you never quite know. It's just something to take note of the way he's speaking and then see if it changes when he gets a softball question. The fact that he doesn't have ready-made answers is actually refreshing. Honestly, I don't think any of them really do. However, I think some people are more polished than others because you can tell who's an executive and who's not. I know that sounds bad, but it is what it is.
If it is found to be within the allowable limits, they proceed to perform the maintenance per the OEM or UPS data. If it is found to be outside of the limits, then they contact engineering for support and disposition. If it is determined by in coordination with SAA engineering and UPS engineering that OEM review is required, we will send the data to the OEM for disposition. Once the OEM provides the disposition, we work in coordination with the UPS. We provide them documentation and instructions based on the OEM disposition. They review and they approve the documentation that we provide via their engineering order, and those instructions are issued to the floor so the maintenance personnel can perform the task per the OEM or the UPS data.
Okay, one follow-up on a previous question. Are non-certificated individuals allowed to sign off work at San Antonio Aerospace?
Please say no. Please say no.
I'm not exactly sure on that question. I'm not sure how exactly it works with our non-certificated mechanics. I know that the complete sign-off of the entire job, it has to be done by certificated, but each exact step that they do, I'm not sure exactly how that works. So we can definitely get that information to you at a later date.
He said, I don't know.
Mr. Johnson, I don't know if it's appropriate if I could add something on the manual change process that you asked about earlier.
By all means.
I think it's important to note as well that the portal for the UPS manuals, which include our company manuals, such as the general maintenance manual, as well as the aircraft maintenance manuals that we provide to ST Engineering San Antonio, are only the current revision is available at all times in that portal that we provide to our vendor.
I guess what I'm trying to make sure is that when a change is made, that the techs on the floor are aware of that change, because the way they're doing it yesterday is not the way they're doing it today. So now we need to make sure that they understand there is a change and that they can follow it. And not everyone goes to the GMM every day of the week. So that's what I was trying to understand is how is that communicated?
Yeah, I just wanted to add for importance of that the old revision is no longer available. So an outdated process would no longer remain accessible.
Okay, thank you. Are repetitive defects at San Antonio Aerospace captured and reported in any way?
Yeah, currently all the defects are captured and reported in the UPS maintenance platform.
So San Antonio Aerospace does not have its own system that would capture and report trends?
No, we do not. We rely on UPS's system for that.
Are repetitive defects reported to the FAA and or Boeing?
God, I would hope so. Say yes.
Repetitive defects, as described earlier, it's just a non-routine that does not have an SDR, is not reported by us to the FAA. And if it does not require Boeing engineering, it is not reported by us to Boeing.
So if there are inconsistencies between a UPS work scope and a manufacturer's maintenance manual, how are those situations rectified?
I'm sorry, can you be more specific in as far as UPS work scope?
So if there's a task card from UPS, and I understand you're following UPS's program, but you notice that there's a difference between a Boeing maintenance manual and the instructions in that task card, how would you rectify that discrepancy?
Typically, the mechanics, if the task card contains all the instructions and does not refer us to the maintenance manual for anything, then we would not typically go to the aircraft maintenance manual. But if there's some reference to the aircraft maintenance manual in the task card, and if there is any discrepancies in between what the task card is telling us to do and what the AMM is telling us to do, yes, we would definitely raise that to the to UPS. And I'm not aware of a system that does that, but usually those discrepancies are noted verbally or in writing by email.
They're noted, but what do you do about them? What happens? Like, this is not where I would speculate. This is where I'd be like, I send an email saying there's a discrepancy, and UPS takes it from there. I don't understand. This is like making me go, what the actual freak of nature? Because if there's a difference between what UPS is telling you to do on an inspection and what, say, a 1,000-hour inspection is for corrosion, and there's a difference between what the task card says for UPS and what the manual says for Boeing, I'd want to get that rectified immediately, because somebody's not doing something somewhere, and I want to make sure that I don't F up a multi-million-dollar aircraft and cost people their lives because I didn't do something right. Oy vey.
To the local maintenance supervisors, UPS maintenance supervisors.
Okay. Does San Antonio Aerospace file any service difficulty reports on behalf of UPS?
We file the service difficulty reports directly to UPS. We do not file service difficulty reports outside of that system directly to the FAA.
Okay, thank you. Next, Ms. Oki has some questions for the FAA.
Great, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Wu, you stated earlier that 121.703 is a requirement for 121 operators to report defects. It requires each operator to submit an SDR covering each 24-hour period, and each report shall be submitted within the next 96 hours. Could you please explain the criticality of the information being supplied to the FAA?
I think Spawn has left the chat.
No, I've just been given some research, because apparently Deuce the nose, the keel nose foreskin was in a certain town, and they sent me a picture and said, could you find out what town he's in? And I went, yeah, I found where he is, exact point of where he's standing on the street. So just saying, it took me 2 minutes.
30 seconds.
Well, if that. At the end of the day,
is he in Florida or is he in a certain Malden?
No. Does Worcester sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yes.
Worcester?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, I found it. I've sent it back. I don't even know why they asked me to do it, because I don't live in the bloody country, but obviously I can find it quicker than they can, even if it was right in front of them.
Snipe says, I thought maybe he was whacked by a pan.
No, she already approached me in a very fucking aggressive manner, and I put my karate posture up, and she backed off.
Hiya.
Sorry, that's why I've been quiet. I do apologize.
Worcester. Yeah. You don't pronounce the R.
Worcester sauce.
The reports sometimes come as an initial, may not have additional details, but we do receive supplemental reports as well. But they are very critical to the FAA, to the principal inspector that receives them. It's important to, of course, understand whether the deficiency, defect, malfunction is a critical safety of flight item. And if those do encounter those, our guidance does require them to reach out to further investigate, assess, and also work with our aircraft evaluation division, who is our liaison to the aircraft certification service, and then bring all those folks on board to do some further risk analysis, looking at severity, likelihood, and those type of things, and other actions that need to be taken.
Why the 96-hour requirement?
Okay, can I call up Exhibit 7W Whiskey, Slide 6?
This was one I wanted to see. I think I screenshotted this one.
So
never mind.
this timeline depicts the evolution of the reporting window. And actually began even before 1964. In 1949, under the Civil Aeronautics Manual 42, it actually required immediate reporting for mechanical defects and hazardous nature. That didn't have what we currently consider the enumerated list that we have today. That didn't come about to about 1962. And then in 1964 is when 121.703, what we know as SDR today, which was actually mechanical reliability reporting back in 1964, that actually required 24 hours notification. And then in 1985, it was revised to 72 hours. And then in 2005 is when it came to the current 96-hour rule. And basically, under the Federal Register, it speaks that the increase in time from 72 to 96 hours is to reduce some of the reduction of supplemental SDRs and reduce the administrative burden for both the FAA and industry. But our guidance in 8900.1, Volume 3, Chapter 32, Section 15, speaks to review and acceptance of SDR programs. And it does state in there and in our safety assurance system, data collection tools that inspectors use to evaluate SDR programs, that if it's a critical safety of flight issue, that operators would immediately report that to the FAA and then provide a report through the SDR system within 24 hours.
Since the form can be filled out electronically and sent to Oklahoma City, are the principal maintenance inspectors made aware of the SDR discrepancies for their operators?
In our guidance, we do have the ability, and the system is called the enhanced dynamic reporting, ad hoc criteria-based email alerts. So principal inspectors and all ASIs actually can go into the system and schedule daily, weekly, monthly, yearly reports that get emailed to you, and we'll provide you all of those SDRs submitted within the last, if you choose daily, the last 24 hours.
Could you please explain who in the FAA reviews and analyze each of these submitted SDRs?
Okay, and our guidance speaks to the principal inspector having that responsibility to perform that initial function. The PI has a very important role with regard to this, with ensuring that the operator's program contains the appropriate design and making sure that these reports are submitted. They also have responsibility for validating and ensuring that those reports contain all of the requirements stated in 14 CFR 121.703, and also validating that any actions taken are appropriate corrective actions, and also validating if there's any immediate safety risk to also bring on those other folks that I had mentioned in my previous response.
Could you please explain the process, if any, on how historical SDRs are taken into account when reviewing recently submitted SDRs?
All right, I'm skipping past this because there was nothing.
So principal inspectors do have the ability.
Section in aircraft certification identified a trend that was concerning, then they would reach out to our branch, and then we would reach out to the CMOs as appropriate, depending on the issue.
Okay, thank you. Now Dr. Wilson has some questions.
Thanks so much. I wanted to follow up on the enhanced dynamic reporting. It doesn't sound like it, but is it required that PMIs get notified or sign up for this notification?
That is true. It is not currently a requirement.
Okay. And can it be filtered by operator and or fleet type, or is it all SDRs that are reported? You said daily, weekly, monthly?
Yes, you can set specific filters to specifically your fleet, specifically what air carrier, what fleet type, and even further refine those reports if you want.
And just out of curiosity, if you know, how many SDRs are reported on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? Any idea?
I don't have that offhand, but I can get you that information if you would like.
Okay, thanks.
We get about 20,000 SDR reports on Boeing products a year.
Okay, thank you.
20,000 a year. That's total on Boeing. Just Boeing. That's not Airbus. That's not any other manufacturer. That's just Boeing. And people wonder why there's issues with Boeing.
Thank you.
Bye, Snipe.
The 96-hour rule for reporting, is there a requirement for those SDRs submitted to be reviewed by the FAA? Are they reviewed the next day? How quickly are the SDRs that are submitted? How quickly are they reviewed by the FAA?
Yes, there is a requirement to perform those reviews. They are ad hoc reviews as well. We principal inspectors, those are certificate management functions as far as air traffic reports, air turnbacks, incidents, occurrences, those type of things drive principal inspectors to review those and also validate.
Well, there's a couple of thoughts that run through my head when I hear 20,000. So is a certain manufacturer or a certain certain operator, which would be UPS. Operator would be UPS, Delta, whatever company is actually using the aircraft. Do they have a culture where you report everything? Because the hospital I worked at, they would rather have you over-report stuff than not report something and find out you should have reported it, or it could have been important. They would rather get like 50 reports and 40 of them be like, we can take this out of account. Or do you have a culture where people are scared to report things for retaliation or whatever the company culture might be? So I'm not sure that 20,000 seems like a lot, but it's also these SDRs, like, how bad are they? Are they just, there was a scratch here because, the operator ran into the aircraft with their, I can't even remember the piece of equipment, but it's basically the belt loader to get cargo out of the plane. You accidentally hit. Now that plane needs to be repaired because you scratched it. You don't want corrosion getting into the paint, blah, blah, blah. Could be something as simple as that, but it still has to be reported. Or is it something serious?
Or like the tug driver who was pulling a aircraft up to the foot gangway and ended up ramming it.
Yeah.
Put a nice big hole in the wing.
Look, I am not gonna lie. Touching a belt loader of the plane, we were taught 2 to 3 inches.
That's what she said.
If you're only dealing with 2 to 3 inches, you got some problems. But that's not my problem to deal with. However, 2 to 3 inches away from the aircraft.
Okay, well said.
However, when you're trying to get near a plane in the rain at 11 o'clock at night, shit happens. So it's, yes, ma'am, I got it. And Jeff, or I'm assuming it's Jeff, or whoever is running Jeff's PayPal right now. Thank you for the $50 Ko-fi. I appreciate it. Yes. It's Daddy. Yes, I got it. Like, every time she sees a text message, oh, so hold on. I just got an email back from Peter Knudsen from the NTSB. There's a link to the docket, which was open last week on this page. The UPS docket 41 was pulled off last Thursday while investigators review the materials to determine if there's any sensitive docket items that need to be redacted. See our X post for context. Okay, let's go to your NTSB. You're stupid. Oh my God. The NTSB is just giving me the runaround. They're like, it's there at this link. So it was pulled offline last week when they went through stuff to see if anything is, I guess, is sensitive. But he sent me the link to it, and it's like, that's just not what So, docket. Yep, the docket for this investigation has not been released, so it's back to being locked again. So, see our X post for context. Stop. The docket for the system has now been restored for all but 42 investigations that remain under review. Okay, it's not. Yeah. So it's supposed to be public, but I guess they took all their investigations off. So they took.
That means they found something that they need to clear up before they can finalize.
Yeah, they took all their investigations off, and all but 42 are back. And this one is not one of them that's back. So
interesting.
It is back. We will go through a little bit. I got it, Angel. I got it. Every time I have to go to work tonight, and the person who I'm working with is Mr. Squid's running late, so I told them that I'd be late, because he's not going to be home on time, and she texts me back, and every time I get a text message, it's like I have to stop and answer that text. It's like not every text needs to be answered like immediately. Like so.
That SDRs are reported, and then also that drives them to also evaluate those SDRs for any immediate new hazards or risks or emerging trends that they observe in those reviews to drive it to higher levels of collaboration across the FAA.
And I apologize if you said this and I missed it, but is there a time limit? So does an SDR have to be reviewed within 96 hours or 72, 24 hours?
There's not a time limit. They do have a requirement to review, but most ad hoc type of events or those type of things drive the principal inspectors or the partial program managers for those fleets to perform those reviews.
Okay, thank you. I want to go back to Mr. Gallegos. So let's say that there is a borderline finding. Not sure if it meets the structural defect or if it requires additional work. How does a mechanic or an inspector handle that process?
I'm sorry, a structural defect. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So maintenance is being done. An inspector or mechanic sees something that may or may not be a structural defect. What is that process? Who reviews that to make that determination?
Typically, things are it's not upon our quality control inspectors usually to determine, I guess if it's not a defect, usually if they see something and it looks like a defect, they'll write it up.
Okay, so at an abundance of caution, we'll report that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
Are personnel discouraged from reporting a defect because it could ground an aircraft and won't get out of maintenance?
Absolutely not.
Has anybody, to your knowledge, reported any pressure from UPS to not report something with the aircraft?
I have no knowledge of any report.
Did you notice, even though he says he has no knowledge, David Springer's face? Look at David Springer's face when she asked that question.
Pressure from UPS to not report something with the aircraft?
I have no knowledge of any reports like that.
Okay.
He looks straight over to Chairwoman Homendy and the board members. Like, are you gonna really let her ask this question? Like, I didn't notice that the first time, but his body language is like, girl, you're gonna give yourself a paper cut. What did you think of that, Spawn?
I don't. I mean, it's probably. I don't know. I just find it very the way they're all behaving. It's like the last one. They seem to be hiding. They seem to be saying what they want you to hear, not what you need to hear. And he seems to be. I don't know. I just had this. Yeah, I've got a very weird feeling that like this is probably why they took the documents off. This is probably like, one of the reasons is because one hand doesn't know what the other hand is doing.
Well, that sounds like from their tweet that the NTSB took all dockets offline to go through all documents and every single docket. I have to look at some others that we've been following to see if they're there, but it says all but 42 have been restored. So there's 42 dockets that aren't back online yet. So it's not just this investigation, it's NTSB wide.
Yeah.
So it was just like, yeah, it's like, are you going to, it just struck me as, what the, like, just look at his face. Catherine Wilson was on the last.
For the FAA, is the FAA involved in any of the meetings at UPS where trend data is discussed?
I'm sorry, I'm in policy, so I can't speak for the safety assurance offices and how they perform those functions.
UPS, does FAA participate in your meetings?
Yes, the one meeting related to our fleet, we have a bi-monthly or every other month, we have our fleet. We have a fleet technical review. Our fleet management teams lead that, where any emerging issues and reliability trends are discussed, and any projects that are coming forth to address trends, they are invited and participate in those meetings on a regular basis.
And is it the POI, the PMI, both? Who's invited?
It's usually the It flows through the PMI and the PAI. It's usually some of the inspectors that report to them that have the fleet specific assignments. They'll be the ones that come and participate in the meeting because they have the knowledge.
That look I'll overlook because he was looking at another UPS employee. Like, am I getting this right? That one I'll take.
Knowledge of the fleet that's being discussed.
And to further help with that, if we could bring up Exhibit 11, Alpha, PDF page 12. So on this slide, this is the UPS communications to the FAA. You'll see on the left-hand slide, in accordance with our general maintenance manual, there's all the required reporting for the regulations of what is provided, to include, as we've been discussing, the service difficulty report management offices, and to the leadership as well as the ASIs that are assigned to a particular area, whether that's maintenance or avionics by fleet. We have an aircraft reliability report that gets produced monthly. We have certification project calls to status where we're at with projects so they can evaluate and assign resources to support that activity. We have a continuing analysis and surveillance system report that goes out on a quarterly basis by the resident 119.65 qualified personnel within UPS. We also have routine issues, risk assessments that are performed, addressing any of those issues. They have access, our local FAA office membership has access to our maintenance information system, also referred to previously as maintenance, so they can see our daily activity status, what's going on at the time a fault is opened up on the aircraft, all the way through closure of a maintenance form to them. An officer invited to attend those. It's always an open door to anyone they want to bring. In fact, any of these processes, a lot of times.
I'm skipping through these because y'all can read them, and he's just basically reading through them. I'm waiting for her to ask a question. So
new folks within the FAA, of course, we provide voluntary program reviews for ASAPs to include any trends within our VDR program, and ASAP is Aviation Safety Action Program, which the FAA also has a member on our committee.
and not every company has
All
ASAP,
right.
but they have something close.
One last question for the panel as a whole. So we've talked about the reporting of structural defects and SDRs. So what about that process do you think could be improved? And I'd be interested in all of the parties, FAA, UPS, Teamsters, STE, SAA. What do you think could be improved about that process?
For us, I really, the data quality side of the house, I think could be improved a little more. Description, trying to work on better taxonomy, using correct part numbers, component numbers, those type of things to help improve the ability to mine that data.
And that's what I was talking about earlier about every company having their own acronyms. Well, it goes to part numbers and manufacturers having different part numbers for the same freaking thing. But that's not exclusive to aviation. Like 2 different manufacturers for chainsaws will have a bolt that's the same exact bolt that'll have 2 different part numbers. It's standardization across the industry, I think, needs a lot of work. And we didn't really notice it until everything went digital. And now that everything is digital, we noticed that all these things are messed up.
Yeah, just to add on to that, as an example, the 4 SDRs that are in the 7F exhibit, you'll see the JAS codes are different, even though they reported the same thing. So that is, and there are other differences for a report that's supposed to be really the same thing happened 4 times, and it's not 4 same SDRs. So that is important for us, so that our folks that do look at trends have that data to look at the trends appropriately. So thanks.
I'll echo some of those same thoughts. From an industry perspective, we've had some working teams focused on the criteria and the consistency of what we report across the board through all operators to be consistent and give good data into the system. Now that we've started to look at searchability of the system, it's very cumbersome. In this world where we're into machine learning and AI, if we have better access to the whole data set, it obviously would provide better results.
If I can echo, what the gentleman has said as well, just consistency on the requirements. If we can pull up slide or exhibit 7, Victor, and I believe it's page 2. Right. So if you just go through the different requirements based on the different regulations, you can see for how it's different for each regulation. So I guess just clarification, a more cohesive approach on what the requirements actually are.
Hi, French.
Mr. Dickens, anything?
Sure.
I think at the line maintenance level, I think it would be very helpful that once the SCRs are submitted to the FAA and that data is compiled, if that would be somehow filtered back down to the line mechanics in some format, that they could actually be aware of the trends that are happening. That would be helpful.
I have a follow-up with UPS. When you guys identify a trend, is that communicated to Boeing for informational or help with analysis or resolution?
So there's a yes, no there. It really depends on the trend that we're finding. So for example, if we're finding cracks on, let's say, secondary structure that we can handle through a maintenance program change to just have better, more timely detection. So when we replace the part. But when we get into, if we're starting to see repeat items on primary structure and PSE, there would be communication just dependent on the nature and the severity of the issue.
I actually have one follow-up for Mr. Dickens, because I did ask Mr. Gallegos if he ever was aware of any pressure from UPS to get an airplane out of maintenance. And I would ask the same from the Teamsters perspective. Are you aware of any pressures from UPS to shortcut maintenance or get aircraft out back on the line?
Nothing that would be considered inappropriate. Obviously, we want an operation, but no mechanic is pressured to sign off any defect.
All right. Thank you so much. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Wu, as far as SDR notifications to the principal inspectors, would it not make more sense to automatically notify them based on the certificate number, the CMT or PMI that's responsible for that certificate as an automated function of the SDR database input, rather than depending on a PMI to go sign up to be alerted? It just seems like backwards to me that with the technology we have today, we could automatically notify somebody instantly when it's occurring, rather than depending on them going to look and hoping they find it. Is that a...
And that also like that assumes that people are actually going to look for things. And on a daily basis, you don't have time to sit in front of a damn database and search. It needs, in my opinion, this is just me from hearing Mr. Squid talk about stuff, from hearing knowing things that I know, also seeing or being military aviation. It kind of needs to be like a recall, like a car recall. You know, when a manufacturer puts something out, everybody gets like an email, or you get a card in the mail saying this is what's wrong with this part. Please contact your dealer for, you know, it kind of needs to be when there's an FDR put in that is appropriate to your aircraft. There needs to be some sort of like flashing sign that says, hey, look for me, because no one's going to go into this database and search it. It's like searching for a MSDS, material safety data sheet, for like Clorox bleach. You're not going to look for it until there's a problem. And then you're going to be like, oh, other people had this problem too.
Yeah, there should be a service, no matter what type of aircraft, there should be like a 6-month and a 12-month service where the plane comes in for a general overhaul for 6 months. And then each year once it's away for 3 days, and then you have teams going through it. And then one person walking around with an ultrasound freaking system to find any hairline fractures or micro fractures in any
I agree surfaces. I agree. That's a whole different, like, that's a whole different ballgame.
No, if we're talking about car service, over here in the UK, each year, once a year, you have to take your vehicle for an MOT, just like in Germany, it's called TÜV. You know, France, don't know. But it's like once a year. And if your car fails, then you have to get it repaired. And
different states have things like that too. But what I'm saying is, like, there's two different sides of the house with what they're talking about. Right now, what they're talking about is not going in every year and getting checked. If someone puts in an SDR into the database, you need to be, if you have that same kind of aircraft, like say it's a 737, because Lord knows the 737 Maxes are a trip on their own. However, someone puts in an SDR related to a 737, some inspector or the inspector's like vice president or engineer or whatever, somebody in charge of a 737 for an operator should get an email or an alert saying an SDR was put in from this company for this on your aircraft. Look at it. So they're forced to look at it and kind of have like a red receipt that they have to sign off that they're aware of it. How are we in 2026 and we haven't been able to connect? Because Boeing sends out 737s to God knows how many different airlines all over the world. So if someone in Washington State for Southwest puts in an SDR, someone for Delta in Atlanta should be able to see it easily and not have to search through a database of 20,000 SDRs to find the one that goes for their specific needs. That I feel like that would help with trends, because you'd have more than the FAA looking at trends. You'd have, hey, a Delta, an inspector in Delta in Atlanta could be able to tell you, hey, I have the same problem, or here, this is on my aircraft. Maybe I should look to see if I have that same issue. And it would, but that's a cost benefit analysis too. So it's a thing. But I have about 3 more minutes left before I have to get going. Mr. Squid will be home. He's running late. That's the only reason I'm able to stream late. So in my opinion, on an aircraft with an exterior mounted engine should have attached thrust pivot points physically removed, inspected, replaced every few years. Well, the thing about it is, I have to talk to a friend of mine who's a mech. But I think DC-10s and MD-11s are the only aircraft in operation that were in operation that have this pylon design like this. If I'm remembering Airbus's Boeing 737, 747, 777s all have a different design and GE engines, which are mounted differently, and they're mounted in a way where there's fail safes. I don't think that this engine, I think there's a reason that this engine there was only 2 models of this plane that this engine is mounted like this. I'm not thinking that was an accident. And also, there's a reason McDonnell Douglas is not in operation anymore.
Yeah, because they had quite a few questionable issues, didn't they?
So,
not
as
saying
much
it.
as I agree with you, I don't think you're wrong. I think that with the more, I don't think I have an MD-80. No, my mom has an MD-80 in her house. Like the Midwest 737 and CRJ that I have, my mom has an MD-80. I think the MD-80 doesn't even have that third mounted engine. I could be wrong, but I think McDonnell Douglases were the only aircraft that were designed like that. And there's a reason that company is not in operation and was absorbed into Boeing. Because I think that this was a really bad design. It looked cool. It looks cool as hell. But that's about it. It's just a thing. Yeah, these planes cost companies millions, and most of them don't want them out of service for any length of time or they lose money. That is true. That is true. And it's a cost benefit analysis. However, how much money are the UPS and Boeing having to spend by sending people here instead of being back where they're supposed to be working?
Can I just point something out that people may? I just, as you know, I like doing my research.
No shit.
McDonnell Douglas DC-10 was built with 3 engines to meet safety, regulatory, and performance demands in the late 60s. At the time, early jet engines lacked the immense thrust of modern models and were restricted to FAA rules, meaning only 3 or 4 engine planes could fly long-range transoceanic routes. Strict FAA regulations. The FAA enforced a strict 60-minute rule that prevented two engine jets from flying more than an hour away from a safe diversion airport. A 3-engine layout bypassed this rule, opening up lucrative transatlantic and transcontinental routes. So it all comes down to one thing: money. And basically, a free-engine aircraft is now outdated. I mean, with the aircraft that are now being built, it's...
I mean, a 777 has 2 engines and can fly New York to London just fine on 2 engines. Two engines are more fuel efficient.
Yeah, but the engines are bigger, more powerful, and more advanced now.
Fuel efficient.
You know, I mean, if you go from prop to jet now to what we've got now, you know, there's been an evolution in aircraft build and aircraft engines. But the DC-10, don't forget, that's old school. And I just read out.
DC-10, you will watch it fly. Like
I've been.
I'm not sure if a DC-10, like you can hear the difference between 727, 717, any other Boeing aircraft, and a DC-10. You can also look at a DC-10 and you can see the fumes coming out of a DC-10.
Actual fact, I have to make an apology. The aircraft that I just had to do a check, and I've been corrected by my own past. Basically, the aircraft that I was in, the first one was a DC-10. I have just had a look, and the aircraft that I was actually in was called a TriStar, which is not a DC-10.
So I'm gonna take this. We're gonna go like that, and then I'm gonna add spawn back. There we go.
Yeah. It's
So this is where we're gonna call it a day for today. We are 2 hours and 27 minutes into this hearing. About 3 hours is where it starts to get a little spicy.
Yeah. Shall we do the next one next Wednesday? Then I don't have to plan a stream, because I was going to stream tonight, but because obviously we postponed this.
That will work. Yes, we were supposed to do this Saturday, but as you all know, we're not about to do nothing on Saturday, but take a mental health day. Exactly. Yesterday or last night, about 8 o'clock, is when I finally got like the energy to like do stuff.
Since Russia's
but anyway, do you have any final thoughts on what we saw so far?
To be perfectly honest with you, I think it's just they're just doing exactly the same what they did on the last NTSB. They're over thinking that they're sort of like dissecting everything when there's no need to, but it's part and parcel of the investigation. Realistically, my opinion is like, one, it was a catastrophic mechanical failure. 2, 6 years is too much, is too long for any type of mechanical vehicle, let alone a plane, to fly around without a 100% proper check. 2,
well, right, remember that 6 years is only for specific things.
My final
That's
thought.
not for
my final thought.
It's not for everything. I know, but just clarification.
Yeah, I get it, but it's my final thought. Anyway, you get. Anyway, the other part is that regardless, unfortunately, the casualties on the ground and casualties in the air, right? The pilots cannot be blamed for this. At the end of the day, they had no control. They do their walkthrough, their walk around, and that's the inspection. They have to take the word of the documentation they get from ground crew and everyone else. So for them, okay, the aircraft is flyable. So the people who are responsible are basically the companies responsible for maintaining and building the plane, and the people who maintain that plane. Other than that, I think that we're going to come to the realization that at the end of this, it's going to be catastrophic mechanical failure due to negligence. And and it's a shame that yet again people have lost their lives due to negligence. There you go. And by the way, I'm not Rumble, just so you know, guys.
Stay in your lane. Final thought. Tough for SpawnTrooper to concentrate with interruption. That is true. That is true. My bad. Anyway, I do have us set up to redirect.
Yeah. So, what do you think about? So, what do you think about the new hairstyle that Squid's got?
Squid's getting her hair done tomorrow, so this is the last time you will see it looking like whatever.
Okay,
this
now,
is.
you can do your final thoughts now. Now we're even.
So my final thought is we have a long way to go. The expert is home.
I'm no expert.
What?
I'm no expert.
He says he's no expert, but he lying.
He expert. You're an expert.
He says he stay humble. Just because he has a license and a degree doesn't make him an expert. I beg to differ.
But the king is home.
Yes, which means the queen has to leave. Because that's how we do it Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. He gets home, I leave. Because but anyway, I have us set up to redirect over to AJ. She's doing Ohio versus Darrell Lewis, the twin tragedy. And she starts at 6. So you got a little bit of time, but go give her a like, tell her I sent you. And that I love you guys, and I will see you later. Spawn, do you want to yeet us out of here?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, 0.